Through the prayers of our Holy Fathers, of Jesus Christ, our God, have mercy on us and save us. Amen. Good evening. For those new here, my name is Father Joseph Swaden. I've worked in Orthodox apologetics since 1998 and the founder of NFTU, True Orthodox and Ecumenical News, since 2004. We've been in the apologetic space on Facebook since 2016, YouTube since 2018. And if you appreciate what we do here, please like and subscribe. Today we do our live Q&A session where you can get your questions answered live, as well as, you want to make a challenge, you can. Member requested video reviews. So let's get started. And as always, if you want to jump on stream to ask a question or make a comment, just click the link to the top of the chat. I'll be taking super chats from the YouTube chat. And if you want your question or comment without super chatting, I'll answer it, but you might miss it if I don't put it up. So let's get started. First off, I will mention, I think it's kind of cool that we actually hit 3,100 subscribers. This is awesome. I love seeing the community grow. I know that, that doesn't sound like a particularly, I guess, large or impressive number, but for me, it's impressive. And I'm going to say why. When I started doing this, full time about 3 years ago, we had less than 1,000 subscribers. So from my perspective, we've tripled. And so you may notice that I chose some interesting images for that thumbnail because of the fact that I live in Northeast PA. So basically, if you take all the kind of the towns and cities that exist there, basically I put an airplane there. You saw a flying airplane over Harvey's Lake. That's representative of the fact that the airport, the local airport is AVP or Scranton Wilkes-Barre, and that is in Avoca. And you'll notice it's flying over Harvey's Lake. The reason I brought those up is because one of them has 2,900 residents, Avoca, and Harvey's Lake has about 3,000 residents. And so, in fact, our community is bigger than Harvey's Lake and Avoca. So I prefer putting it in those terms because I like talking about how there's real people because, we have a very real community here. They ask questions, they help out, they contribute. Sometimes they give pushback. I'm using the GPT word. But in any case, so let me see here what we've got. All right, so opening comments. So far, we've got two. First off, Sunrise with a member chat says hello and greetings to you. God bless you. Some guy named Christ is Lord 33 AD says, which true Orthodox branch is the true one? The church is branched by her members. So your question, I get it. You're coming from that whole like, oh, they're all evil schismatics. There are true Orthodox Greeks, there are true Orthodox Russians, there are true Orthodox Romanians, there are true Orthodox Americans, there are true Orthodox Bulgarians, there are true Orthodox in Asia and Africa and Latin America. Like the one that's the true one is the one that's against ecumenism, modernism, and Sergianism, because people who aren't are ecumenists, modernists, and Sergianists. And if they aren't part of the church. So that's what I would say is the answer to your question. If you want to pretend that each jurisdiction is like a denomination, you're free to do that. That's not Orthodox ecclesiology. But I imagine that if you're coming from a hostile actor, if you're coming from the Ortho Bros, etc., then I can see why you would be confused by our ecclesiology because you've never learned it, as you've basically learned a veiled version of papism. Oh, Sunrise. Whoa, starting off early. Thank you so much. $9.99 with a super chat. I'll be drinking a cold Dr. Pepper while watching. Well, you got more than me. I got ice water. So, hold on. Sorry, I ended up eating a piece of ice. So, with that, the night has already begun. And so, I am going to put the goal today, and I have valid reasons too. I don't make a big deal if we don't make it. Well, I mean, it'd be nice. Sometimes we do, and when we do, it's always fantastic. But when we don't, we don't. But Sunrise has already started on the board with $10, bringing the projected amount that to reach the goal at $390. So we're now at $10. And I will mention that, of course, for those who are not, who've been around the block a while here, you know what we do. Basically, we do a 2 hour show. And effectively, if we get to 75%, which in this case is 300, we will go for another half hour. If we make the goal, we go for a full hour. And then that's the deal. That's how we do it. So thank you, Sunrise, for being the first to contribute with a super chat for $10, and now our goal is $390. Okay, let's see what we got here. Crisis Lord says, I was just wondering because I've inquired in Roac and Matthewites, and they think they're the only true ones. That wasn't originally Roac's position, and I don't think all the Matthewites have the position that they're the only true ones. So your mileage may vary. You'd have to talk to bishops, but in all honesty, if they're close to you, they're still better to go to than any of the ecumenist sects. So, from my perspective, that's, I see if you have Roac and Matthewite churches near you, you're in pretty good shape. So, that's the way I would use it. For those who are looking for a True Orthodox church and you don't know where to find one, please look in the description. There are 2 True Orthodox maps listing the overwhelming majority of True Orthodox in the country and in Western Europe. It's a little trickier when you get into like Russia because of the fact that it's harder to get information a lot of the time. The state basically endorses the Moscow Patriarchate. So yeah, you have to do a little more research to get in. Let me see here. Debt to Compromise says Jay Dyer is the new mean Mr. Mustache Man. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think he's finally getting a taste of his own medicine, and that he's starting to get caught at basically not having all the answers he pretends to, and so now it's starting to look like, well, that I think the emperor is being revealed as having no clothes. Sunrise with a member chat says, why did Rossi split in 2? Rossi split into a little more than 2. But if you're talking about Artok, that actually was a preventable issue. And there are people on both sides who say that could have been actually resolved, because really what it came down to is Bishops Lazar and Benjamin wanted and got a procurement. This is where the debate is as to, from Metropolitan Vitaly, that they could work independently in Russia. Now, ironically, this was the situation before the 2000 Sobor, where you had the Free Russian Orthodox Church and you had the Russian Church abroad, and they were in communion. So it was basically to restore that kind of balance. However, as people pointed out, and not always with the best intentions, there were no senior bishops on the synod besides Metropolitan Vitaly and the 2 Russian bishops. So I think that the non-Russian bishops were concerned that the Russians would try to take over, and that was probably a big mistake. They could have amicably solved it, in my opinion, but they didn't. So things happen, unfortunately. Miser One says, good evening, Father. All good evening. What are the 2 framed art pieces behind you? Well, one of them is the Saint Savior icon. So that is actually it's an icon of Christ with the Good Shepherd. So he has the lamb over his shoulders. The other one is actually the written music. It's the written music to the NFTU theme song. It's the actual, because I mentioned it's written by a real person. It's written by Atomic Lead, who is an independent musician, and he literally hand wrote it before copying up the MIDI. So I thought it was so cool to see a piece of handwritten music. I was like, I'm putting that right there. So there. I hope that answers those questions. It's pretty awesome. If you want to see a closer look, if you look on NFTU2 and you look for the NFTU theme, the thumbnail actually has some of the written music, so you can see it. Let's see what else we got. Sunrise with a member chat says, didn't Stephanos can celebrate with Metropolitan Cyprian II? I assume you're talking about Archbishop Stephanos of the Matthewites, and I am not that deep to know that one. I can research it. I don't know. I literally have no idea. And as I do realize that I'm, people kind of see me as a source of info for, all things true orthodoxy. I miss stuff like a lot, so I'm not perfect by any means, or even that good. So I mean, I wish I had a better answer, but I really don't know what happened or what would be the case in there, or so on and so forth. Okay, so Christ is Lord says, one more question, please. LOL. What is name worshiping? Name worshiping, or Imya Slavia, was a kind of a heretical teaching that got condemned in like 1913 or so, that the name of God is God. This leads to immediate semantic problems, such as if you state the name of God, are you now literally invoking God, etc.? Some pretty ugly conclusions came out of that. Um, and so there was a great brouhaha that even happened extended to the Russian monastery on Mount Athos. Um, and it got violent. Like the Russian Navy, literally, the Imperial Russian Navy literally had to come in to quell the disturbance because it was just that violent and crazy. But they tried to reconcile to the church, and to some degree, many of them did, through confession of faith, kissing of the icons, and reception by the bishop, which was Saint Tikhon's formula of reunion. And so basically, yeah, it was condemned as heretical. It kind of came back to some degree. And before you assume it's just it came back in Roak, no, it came back in a few places, including in the Moscow Patriarchate. The former chief ecumenist of Russia, Hilarion of Volokhomansk, or I guess he's now retired Metropolitan Hilarion of Sao Paulo and the Brazilian resorts, spoke favorably of Imyaslavia in one of his books. So hopefully that helps. Taylor Hardison, John Taylor Hardin, Reader John, with a member chat. Hello, Father bless. May God bless you in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. All right, let's see what else we got here. Another member chat from Sunrise. Father Joseph and Bishop Enoch did a good hour-long video about name worshiping a few years back. That is true. If you want to hear that one, click the search feature on our main channel page. Just look up name worshiping. It should come up because I'm pretty sure it was called the name worshiping episode or something. Orthodox Mom says, hey, I have some screenshots of an unhinged deaconess I wanted to get some feedback on. How can I send them? I am going to assume you are referring to, there's this priest's daughter who kind of turned a deacon's outfit into sort of a dress. And I guess like he lets her like sermonize and stuff. And I mean, as distasteful as I find that, I don't want to pretend it's, more news than it is. Cause I hate to say it, but it seems to be a grown woman playing dress up rather than actually, serving liturgically. Whatever the motivations are, if she thinks she's practicing for a future ordination to the female diaconate, etc., that hasn't happened yet. So, if I go out there and say there's this unhinged deaconess and I put up these pictures, I know that everyone's going to turn around and be like, aha, Sweden is lying. And then, it doesn't help. So, we have to make sure, unless she's been ordained, she's vested while visiting the sick and anointing with oil. LOL. Yeah, but okay, really, she should. That is kind of a liturgical action. But is she? Did a bishop actually elevate her to deaconess or no? Well, that's the real question, because otherwise, if that hasn't happened, then that they have plausible deniability. So that's the reason. Yeah, so that's wacky town, but unfortunately, yeah. So you see, and that's the deniability. They put it in your face so that you freak out about it a little bit, and you say the wrong thing, and then they have deniability. Then they can say, "Aha!" So they're claiming that we have this deaconess, but it's not true, and so it's a show tactic to weed out potential dissidents for when they do it, because we know that they are doing it in the Patriarchate of Alexandria. So yeah, it's just a question of when. But other than that, let me think here. So yeah, Lord have mercy, indeed. That's all we can do. And so, going through the topic, so we've gone through this. This is, it's our celebrating our 3100 stream. So this is awesome, and God willing, we'll continue seeing more people coming and learning about the truth and orthodoxy and the true faith and fighting with questions. So let me think here. What was the next thing? Oh yes, tomorrow. And let me see if I can pull up the image here. Hold on. I think this might be it. Yep. Oh, no, wrong one. Hold on. Sorry about that. That's Layman Seminary. We did that one a month ago. So let's remove that and we'll try to find the new image. Okay, maybe I just have to go get another one. I might have to go get another one. Give me a second. So because we have a debate going on tomorrow. We will be on the Layman Apologist channel, and I will be debating Carrington Bridges. I don't know if you all remember Carrington. If not, I will try to get a little clip of what we were doing last time. He came with his, I guess, teacher or professor, a guy named Ward, and then the guy wanted to ramble on a lot, and so I said we got to be realistic, and he said, okay, well, what's my time limit? And I said 90 seconds, and he got mad and hung up. So, but Carrington was nice enough to say, look, I'm willing to carry the torch here, and I want to defend my beliefs. So I said, let's go. And so, that'll be a good thing, I think. And so I am just looking. Hold on. Do 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 do. Okay, this is taking a while, so I'm gonna see if I can find it on the other channel. Do do do. Okay, yeah. So this is the image. I mean, I'm not a big fan of this thumbnail simply because I've seen cooler thumbnails previous now since. Like, right, I don't look like just like I'm, kind of feeble, but I don't mind. I don't mind. Let's see here as I try to finish. I did it wrong. Okay, so I'll save this image. And we'll put that up. So tomorrow, I will be debating Carrington Bridges, a full preterist, on preterism. And I will find it eventually if I could stop being dumb. Okay, there we go. So, for those who don't know, I guess I'll give you a little bit of background. Preterism is the belief that everything in the Bible has already been fulfilled until, by AD 70 with the destruction of the temple. It's an interesting position because of a lot of problems, which I will be glad to talk about tomorrow. But I think it follows that if everything was correct, if everything was finished in AD 70, we really shouldn't be here like this. But I will get into that with more detail when we do the debate. And so I'm looking forward to it. But for people who do have, general questions or comments about that, we can talk about it. I am looking forward to it because it is, these are real questions that people are really converting to. They really think these are ideas. Like for us, it seems like that's insane. We have a living church for 2,000 years. But there's a lot of people who don't understand that or don't believe that because they've never really experienced it. And so, I think this is going to be kind of awesome. Let's see here. And I am looking. Remember, this is a live Q&A. So don't forget that if you want to jump on stream to ask a question or make a comment, click the link. There's the featured link on you. I don't even know if it's featured. Give me a second. Now I have to wonder if I actually favorited it. Okay, I don't know why I put on that accent. Okay, now I gotta pin the message. So I've pinned it in YouTube. Can't really pin it in X, and nobody really comments in X anyway. They just kind of watch from X sometimes. But there is a link there. I'm pretty sure I put the link. I was going. This is another thing. I was going to switch out Facebook for Gab today because I now can theoretically access the Gab Live API. Unfortunately, I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong 5 minutes before the show, so I'm going to try again tomorrow with the debate, and hopefully it'll work. I think that'll be great. I do have a lot more interaction on Gab than I do on Facebook because I mostly don't go to Facebook. But that's just why I was thinking about that. Sunrise with a member chat says, as someone who was never Protestant, it is definitely bizarre hearing their arguments, though for a lot of people it really is common belief. Well, I don't know how big preterism really is in the grand scheme of things. I can't imagine it's that large. It never really, it was always kind of a niche kind of group. You know what, this is what using the artificial intelligence is for. You can just ask your artificial intelligence. I'm going to ask somebody else's artificial intelligence. I'm a little bit embarrassed by this question, so I will ask. I'll ask Gemini because Gemini is very good with large information questions. So let's bother the AI. And I know people are like, "What? He's using an AI?" Oh, I use AI for lots of stuff. Trust me. I mean, I don't use it for my scripts, or it would probably be a lot cleaner. But let me see here. Hold on. So let me share this because I have limited knowledge of what a preterist is. So, Gemini. I'll just call him G for short. I'm sure I'll understand. How many preterists, organized preterists, are in the world today? Probably gonna be like, well, we don't have exact numbers, but there's at least 100. Okay, yep. There's no worldwide head count for organized preterism because preterism is a framework of biblical interpretation, eschatology, not a standalone denomination, central denomination, or church bodies. Because it exists in various Christian traditions. Okay, all right. Status partial preterism. Okay, so most end times prophecy, like the tribulation, were fulfilled in the first century. That's interesting. So it says that there's a lot of people who are partially preterist, but Carrington's full preterist. So full preterism, a small niche and a highly controversial movement. Belief. All biblical prophecies, including the second coming, final judgment, and the resurrection, were fully spiritualized and completed by AD 70. Most Orthodox Christian denominations consider this position heterodox or heretical. Remember, this is small o Orthodox, so it's not talking about us. Numbers tens of thousands worldwide, primarily concentrated in North America. That's interesting. So there might be quite a few people watching this debate. All right. Okay. Yeah. Preterist Research Institute by Don K. Preston, or International Preterist Association online communities. Yeah, so full preterist, maybe 10 to 50,000 people. Hey, those people want to be heard, and I would love a chance to respond. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm kind of excited for this now. This looks Matthew Metanoia to catch a preterist. Yeah, I'm not looking for gotchas or blood sport, but I do want to talk about the truth, and let's see how it goes. We shall see. And that is tomorrow night, everyone. And I think that is at 7, or is it at 8? I'm not. It might be 8:30. Might be pretty sure it should be 8:30 Eastern. I will have it 9. Well, I think it's on the little page. Let me see here. Image file. Okay, it's not on the page. But I'm pretty sure it's 8:30 Eastern. And it will be on this channel, and hopefully I'll be able to put that on Gab. Let's see if we can get it working. I'm new to the Gab Plus environment, so it could be that I'm pressing a button wrong or doing something here. Aha! Welcome, Father Boniface.
Benedicite.
And Ishite, how's it going? Karan Wandara says, "Woo, let's go!" It's
my
like,
my ear on here. So anyway, can you hear me?
yeah, yeah,
Okay, okay, good, 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 good. So hey, look, the preterism. That means that all the prophecies of Christ were fulfilled back in the past.
right. That's full preterism. That's what our my opponent believes. So yeah.
Well, you know
So
what?
I
That works great if you want to
go ahead.
compartmentalize Christ back in that time. We want to put Christ back in that time so that we don't have to deal with him today. That's what it's all about. We
Yep.
don't want Jesus applied to the earth and our lives now and if active in the world. We don't want that. So therefore, put him back there and we'll be happy.
Yeah. So I think that it's going to be an interesting debate. I have to be very careful with what I say because I don't want to reveal my strategy that I'll be using tomorrow.
Yeah,
Because I mean,
right.
I got to keep my secret sauce. So in any case, we'll see how that goes. But once again, it is a live Q&A. So if you want to jump on stream to ask a question or make a comment, just click the link. The link is everywhere that you can see this. So in any case, let's take a look here. Trying to think. All right, so we have covered the pre-debate. So for those who are interested, just remember it is tomorrow night, and so it should be good. I'm looking forward to it. And now, around earlier this week, there's been some moves, some chaos that has been happening. So, like for example, if you remember, was it a week ago, 2 weeks ago, Father, that like Cleve to Antiquity had this Seraphim Webster on. He's like, oh, 11 of the true Orthodox inquirers are coming with me. Well, one of those 11 inquirers has now decided to just pack in the towel and become a Roman Catholic. So they're down to 10, I guess. But the point is that um, they, the point is that they're, now they're finally their Roman Catholic diorite arguments are finally catching up to them. And I think another one, there was a Lutheran convert to the papism that happened. And so then I guess a bunch of people started attacking the Holy Fire, and I didn't know why. But then it turns out that allegedly, and I have to find this. Allegedly, a Cameron Bertucci. Now, Cameron Bertucci is he's a very professional religious YouTuber, and he became a papist like 3 years ago. And one of the big complaints is that since he's become a papist, he's become a total partisan. Um, I I didn't know him beforehand, so I have no idea what to think in that. But the point is that somewhere along the line, Cameron decided it's time to attack the Holy Fire. And I just need to find it, and we're gonna see if I can. So I'm gonna go to videos first. Breaking, he lied. Caught on camera. Okay, this does. Okay, first off, if somebody, and I know somebody's got to be watching this that knows about this, because I looked a little bit, but I didn't look carefully, and I didn't see it. So I'm gonna see if I can type in Cameron Bertucci "Holy Fire" and see if that pulls up anything. Okay, oh here we go, here we go. Capturing Catholicism and capturing Christianity. Okay, so what is capturing Catholicism? Okay, capturing Catholicism appears to be Cameron doing his more uh, sectarian stuff. It's more papal stuff. But we have this. So this is a 34-minute video. So it's a good thing we cleared out lots of space for it. By the way, folks, it is the 9 o'clock hour, meaning we have gone a half an hour. And there's only 4 parts to this unless we get higher. So I'm gonna do. You know what? I'm gonna talk about the dog first. Okay, so I will talk about the dog first, just real quick, because besides the massive car debt I have, um, I have a new problem. Our dog is a very hairy dog. If you've occasionally seen her, she's rather hairy. And unfortunately, what happens is with a little dog like that being that hairy, the hair becomes matted. And so a lot of it's become matted. Like she's got a matted extra tail. Like it's not good. The big problem is that um, our attempts to use grooming tools have usually ended up in injury. This is from this week where I attempted to approach with a scissors. She didn't do anything. I put back the scissors to pet her, and then she bit me. So she's a very pleasant dog when you're not trying to groom her. Now we did discover that there are tools that we have managed to make work, like these special cutting brushes that are very nice. The problem is they would work better if she was short haired because now the mats are so thick they just get stuck. So so the whole point is um I came to the conclusion what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to take her to a vet, uh, have her sedated, and they're gonna just shave her so we can just start over with a fresh new lease on life for the dog, and then use these tools to keep her maintained so this never happens again. I don't know how much that's going to cost. I've already dropped $100 as a deposit, and that is I'm doing that on August 20th, so Thursday after next. And so basically, that's part of the reason why I made it a little higher because that kind of grooming treatment will cost anywhere from $250 to $300. Um, as much as I would, I would love to figure out a different way. The truth is, I've got to do what's best for the dog, and she's not in great shape. She can't scratch under her ear without her foot actually getting caught, which causes her to start yelping and be miserable. And all right, let's see what else we've got here. R. George 2024 says, does anyone have any info on the Stefano Synod's view on Rocor? I've heard different things. Their American Cathedral's website refers to St. Philaret as saintly. I think the Stefano Synod has softened a little bit with the Rocor historically because of things like the court case, but I can't prove that. But it wouldn't surprise me if they did, and I know that from what I've heard, Archbishop Stephanos himself wants to see more unity between the divisions in true Orthodoxy. So it's possible. Let me see here. Debt to Compromise says Webster already fled a Discord I came into, and Juria is too scared to confront True Orthodox live. Well, right now they're reeling. One of the new apostles unfortunately fell to the papacy. So what are you going to do? Let's see here. Raphael said, I would just call the Stephanos Matsuites themselves to find that out. If I remember right, they are the purple icon on one of the map's NFTU links. Correct. They are on the maps. Remember, if you want to find a True Orthodox church, just click in any description on our videos and just click on both of those maps. One of them is the larger True Orthodox synods. That's the first one. But the second one is always worth checking out. You'll find our synod there as well as other synods that do not have the geographic size. So, with that said, if that's what you're looking for, do look that up. Karan says, Father Joseph, did you see a D2C posted some crazy cool things? Svanta Liturgia, Skimbarea, and Flafata Metropolis Latioara. I have no idea if I pronounced that correctly. He had actually wrote up about that because for those who don't know, when you find a really big service and it says Metropolitas Latioara in I may be pronouncing that completely wrong, but in YouTube, that is the True Orthodox. It's called that because the cathedral is in Slatioara Monastery, so the main cathedral, and so that is that's the old calendar Romanians. Let's see here. Raphael says, one thing I learned, always ask the actual people in the Synod. Very true. I'm so glad somebody picked that up. It's better to ask people who are in the Synod than people who aren't. That is always true. The 12 treat two overboys, one's a Judas. Well, maybe. I have a feeling it might be the beginning of the end for them. Let's see. Webster said he wanted to debate you and have Greg moderate. Ha! Okay, he found... Okay, first off, that's stupid. Second off, because I don't think Gregory of Colorado, with no offense, has any concept of how to debate. And a person who had never seen debate in my life becoming the moderator, that's just trying to create a circus, and I'm not going to do that. That's stupid. Um, he wants to debate me. Have a real moderator. I will debate with anyone, but he picks the one guy who hates everybody in true orthodoxy. No, I may as well just ask. Let me think here. Who can I think of that's just as awful that I would never suggest? May as well ask like Father Peter Hears to moderate. Like it's that bad. And let's see, Nicholas Thompson, 83 says, Father Joseph, Father Boniface. Hello, how are you both? May God bless you in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. We're okay. Just let me, if I hope I
Thank
didn't
you.
forget anything. Let me
Okay.
see here. Let's see. I don't even know what that stuff means, although I copied it. Yeah, that's the name of the video, I think. Adrian White says, anyone attacking the miracle of the Holy Fire should be directed to the miracle of the splitting of the Holy Pillar by the Holy Fire in 1579 and tests run by the Greek and Russian scientists. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. I will be addressing that after we're done with the comments here because I wanted to cover Help My Dog first, and then we're going to spend the rest of the time analyzing Cameron Bertuzzi's video. But you're absolutely right about those two things, so we're going to do that. Let me see here. Matthew says, debating a preterist should be easy. You don't have to refute anything. You just have to underline his arguments and say, see. I mean, I'm gonna I take every opponent seriously. I don't think it's wise not to, because even if his arguments, let's say, are not that good, that gives an opportunity to explain to him the true teaching. And so I'd rather do that than I'm not that interested. I'm interested in clarifying our position properly, but I'm not like interested in destroy or anything like that. That's not how I work. James
You
Kepler
know,
says
you know what
father's blood.
interests me.
Mm-hmm.
Go
What?
ahead.
Oh no, you said what? Something
Well,
interests you.
that these guys are going into Roman Catholicism. Are they? I don't understand with these popes and all the liberalism and corruption. Are
Uh huh.
they going into Rome on their own terms or on Rome's terms?
Well, that's a good question, but they're definitely not admitting publicly what their interest is. So, unfortunately, that's going to have to play out on its own, I think. But yeah, it does seem like it's awfully coincidental that their goals align so carefully. All right, let me see here. James Kittler, 9813 says, Fathers bless. Can you, God bless you in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Can you explain a bit about who the
Question.
Artok MM is? That's the Synod retired, more like, deposed. Or actually, I should say more like invalidated. Bishop Philip Kane and Bishop Alexius are these days. Yeah, I can. Artok MMM came from, it was originally part of the True Russian Orthodox Church, which has our Metropolitan Raphael. They split off because they kind of had a very soft view of ecumenism. They had a very soft view of Sergianism. Their leader ended up going to Minnesota for surgery, heart surgery. And then once he was here, he just decided he'd stay. And so he kind of was the Archbishop of Moscow, but then he wasn't. So he's here, and he kind of moved his operations all here. Um, that said, I'm pretty sure he was deposed by the Greater Synod. Um, and he's been trying to start something ever since. He had, Haralampos of Dallas, who uses these Anglican liturgies and things like that. Unfortunately, Philip Kane and Alexius Blummer um, basically were discovered to have a gay marriage, and so were busy attempting to cause a schism in our synod. And when we reported all the information we had discovered, the Greater Synod in Greece said we want nothing to do with them. And by the way, this is what they were trying to do: sabotage your synod. So yeah, I would stay far away from them because I didn't know what to think of the Minneapolis Metropolia, but I will say if they accepted these guys in, based on my personal experience with them, I would stay away. And it's sad because we did lose We lost a priest and a small convent to them, and it's a shame. And I feel bad for them, but they are very charismatic people, even if they're weirdos. Uh, sorry to that was a bit of a downer there, James Kettler 9813, but and I hate to, but when I have to answer the questions. Nicholas Thompson, 83, says, do you think there's a possibility if most of the nations repent that it can slow down the coming of Antichrist? Then we can free Constantinople and form a council. Oh, those are three different questions. First off, let's say that most of the nations repent and God has mercy on us. That could slow down the coming of the Antichrist. Plus, the more sober and awake Orthodox Christians there are throughout the world, the harder it is for the Antichrist to accomplish his goals, which would be to deceive everyone, even if possible, the elect. If you have just way more elect, that becomes a much harder problem for the Antichrist. So that's what I would say there. But then that leads to question two. What about freeing Constantinople? At the rate things are going, I think we're coming to a pass with global political Islam. It's becoming more and more apparent to the world generally that their kind of doctrine towards the kafir, the non-Orthodox, is kind of brutal. And we can talk about the jizya, etc. But the whole point is that if you're not a Muslim in a Muslim system, things don't go well for you. So just ask anyone in Nigeria. But the point is that, I think the world is starting to kind of have to deal with this. And it goes back to, like, if the attempts at Islamization that are occurring through the West are being resisted, it's starting to make people wonder, well, what else are they doing in other places or the places they came from? And people aren't liking what they're seeing. And so, let's see here. The Orthodox Field says, sorry, Webster would be okay with Glenn moderating, not Gregory. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Okay. Just, you know what he could do if he wants to set up a time. And we also have the layman apologist who is going to be hosting tomorrow's debate. I'm sure he'd be willing to moderate as well. But if Webster just told you that now, Webster can come on over and he can have a chat with us. And I'll be glad if he wants to just only talk about the debate because he doesn't want to give away his super secrets. Sure. Yeah. But I'm not going to waste time like contemplating it if he doesn't even talk to me. Let's see here. Our George 2004 says, hilarious mistake though. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm too jaded by Gregory to see the humor. Let's see. Kron says, sorry about your dog. Do you pray for your dog? Does that help? Honest question. And sorry if I just sound weird. I generally don't pray for the dog. I mean, I will occasionally bless the dog, but like, the dog isn't sick. She's matted and covered with hair. If she was sick, I'd probably say a prayer, but she's not sick. I know exactly what's wrong with her. And what's wrong with her is that she's covered in matted hair. That has to be taken off. Like, I'm not going to pray for God to miraculously remove it because I know that that's something that I should do as a pet owner because we're supposed to care for the earth, not just ask God to do everything for us and put him to the test. So that's my thinking. The layman apologist says, evening, fathers, looking forward to tomorrow. Welcome, layman, and glad that you'll be able to host tomorrow, so it's great. Latin Boy 305 says, besides Cyprianism, or for some jurisdictions, what other lingering... I don't even believe Cyprianism is an issue. I believe that it's a made-up issue. I don't take it seriously. What other lingering complex issues are keeping the true Orthodox from coming into communion with each other? Well, you're increasingly discovering there aren't any. I'm not going to name the bishop, though I have before, and I'm sure he's not going to deny it. But the point is, the main person who pushed for the condemnation of Cyprianism in a Russian jurisdiction, which will remain unnamed, also operates on the principle that he doesn't want to be in communion with other people that he doesn't like. If I don't like him is the delineator for where the true church is, there's a problem. And that's not a problem with all the jurisdictions in question. That is a problem with individuals within the jurisdiction who feel it's in their best interest to keep orthodoxy as divided as possible. Or George, another point. Is it good? It's good to take these things seriously because no matter how stupid it is, with the internet, there's always an audience full of people who can be led to hell by it. Yeah, I agree. And that's part of the reason why I answer people, even if I don't like them. Orthodox Field said, who had a gay marriage? It's up in the chat. It would be Philip Kane, or actually his original name was Melvin Kane, and Alexius or Peter Blummer. And the reason I'm giving the lay names is one, because they were invalidated as bishops by the Greater Synod, and two, because the reason I say invalidated as opposed to deposed is because the events of this, garage occurred before they were received. So they wouldn't have had valid orders because it's through fraud. So they were just invalidated. The point is that what's the word I was going to say? It's not something I like discussing, but the reason I put their actual names is because it wasn't until I forget which of us did it, but was reviewing certain evidence that we had seen before, and we realized that the lay names actually produced the results that proved everything else. Let's see here. Good point, George. I researched what you said about name worshiping in my ROAC friend, and it's not an issue that's been solved. But if I'm not wrong, the 1913's condemnations were pretty clear. If it's condemned. Yep. Okay. Or George 2004 says, I wonder why those Georgian monasteries in the U.S. went to that Palestinian Orthodox Church. Ramzi Musallam, who's also great friends with the two aforementioned people, and himself was thrown out of Rokor allegedly because of some text messages he wrote to a reader, which were foul. He apparently they hang together. But the whole point is that there's no such thing as a Palestinian Orthodox Church. He made that up. He came from the old Catholics. You know Ramzi Musallam, Father Boniface. You had some experience with him.
Yes, I do. So steer clear. Yeah.
Yeah. So as for those Georgian monasteries, it makes me wonder, considering how many true Orthodox jurisdictions they skipped, because trust me, you would have found easily even Hakta, you would have found like the Rokana, you would have found a whole bunch of true Orthodox churches before you got to, the weirdos in the fringe. And the fact that they went right to the weirdos in the fringe tells you something. Let me see here. Reader John NC Mountain Joshua says they convert to Catholicism because they romanticize a much version of Catholicism that does not exist anymore. Yeah, and I would also add that because of the fact that a lot of them are former diorites, they're very big on the institutional stability argument. I noticed like Cleave to Antiquity recently was talking about who has the right to baptize and who doesn't, and he said, and like repeatedly kept saying it's the bishops because they have the keys. Huh. Well, what does that sound like? Who always talks about the keys? Like, because he mentioned it like 3 times in a row, and I'm sitting here like, that's like kind of semi-papal language. It's not that it's not true. It's just that your emphasis is weird. So let me see here. Yeah,
I think that was a good comment that he made. It's a pie in the sky romantic Catholicism, which has no reality to it. It's worse than sedevacantism.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. James Ellis says, oh, yikes, thanks for saying, oh, Lord have mercy. Also pray to see your new dog. Thank you, James. R. George says, everything I had heard about St. Nina's was great. Strange that they would go to these weird regatta. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is strange. And I don't know why that is. There's especially when the GOC is getting so big and has much more canonical order. That's the problem. All true Orthodox on the map have more canonical order than Ramzi Musallam. It does not make sense. Let me see here. Nicholas Thompson. Oh, I missed that last question. Do you think that there'll be a chance of a council being formed in the future? I think if the Lord gives us more time, councils and probably not one council, but quite a few councils to figure out the situation before there's a greater global council would be inevitable. And I also have to introduce the possibility that if, say, for example, we're talking, let's say, if the Lord gives us another 150 years or so, there's a possibility that even after we pass on, that churches just unite, some churches decline, and their assets move to other jurisdictions, that the church literally just becomes stable on its own without a council necessary. Then a council, a generic council can be held to condemn ecumenism, surgeonism, and modernism, but everyone already condemns it. So it would be a very perfunctory council. Nicholas Thompson said, didn't Cyprianism die a long time ago? Yeah, mostly with its founder, and it officially has not existed since 2014. So it's 2026. It's been 12 years. People who are still holding to it. It's important to remember that I believe Metropolitan Cyprian was in a coma since when? Give me 1 second, just real quick. Using the AI again because I'm mentally lazy. Excuse me. A coma. Metropolitan Cyprian Consummus fell into a coma in 2007 and remained in a coma until May 30th, 2013 when he died. So it's worth noting that Cyprianism's most active opponent and namesake was inactive for the past 19 years and mostly reposed. So let's continue on. Adrian Wyatt says, one issue has been the name-worshipping heresy. Another, in the case of Artak and the True Orthodox Church of Serbia, was the TOC as Serbia ordination of priests on Artak territory. Unfortunately, that is something that can usually be resolved pretty easily because you can always have Metokia. But it does, once you move into someone else's canonical territory, it can cause problems. Nicholas Thompson 83 says, is a catechumen a part of the church? Catechumens can be prayed for and are prayed for at the liturgy, but they're not technically considered part of the church until they are baptized. Therefore, if you want to put aside, I highly recommend that the earlier a priest recommends that you're baptized, don't ever give false humility and say like, well, I don't know if I'm ready. No, if you're getting that option, you should take it and trust the priest. Let's see here. Latin Boy 305 says, Adrian Wyatt, thank you. I appreciate the explanation. The situation, in my opinion, seems hopeful. Yeah, well, it was a lot worse 25 years ago. I say that a lot. I actually used to say 20, but now I realize so much time is passing. All right, so I know that there's so many people here waiting for me to get to the Cameron Bertuzzi video, and it's a long one, folks. So it is 9:24, and I will start. Here's your video once we get to it. It says scandalous on it. Cameron's looking very mad. Hold on, let me share this. You can see if we share the screen. Hold on. Yeah, you see he looks really mad. Like he's like all mad and stuff. So give me a second and we're gonna go to that. So yeah, you can see he's very mad. So let's start watching the video. We go like this.
Every Easter, thousands of pilgrims flock to Jerusalem to witness the holy fire. The flame said to ignite miraculously inside the tomb of Christ and not to burn those who touch it. The official website of the Patriarchate of Jerusalem called it a true miracle that admits no doubt.
I should mention first off, right off the bat, that this is starting with a questionable premise, which is that the holy fire does not burn. That is true for approximately 3 minutes. Eventually, the fire does turn into regular fire. You can rub it against your face, you can rub it on your arms, so on and so forth. But if you decide to do it for, like, I saw one where they were like, oh, this is a test of the holy fire, and it's some dumb lady holding a piece of paper and waiting for it to burn, and then it starts burning, and she's like, ah! Like, who does that? Like it's not. It's meant to be a miracle to show you something, but it's not meant to perpetually stay that way. Like you're not taking this to Castle Grayskull and being like, I have the power of God. That's not happening. It turns to regular fire. Let's continue. What are they doing to Alex Soren here?
Orthodox apologists defend it as genuine and lead their followers to believe them. But what if...
Well, yeah, that's because it's a very evidence-based miracle. Let's continue.
I told you, there is deeply troubling evidence that this entire thing is manufactured. In that...
All right. First off, yeah. We know what you're going to bring up because 90% of it is what Cleve himself brought up last year and we responded to. But I'm going to move you to 125 because you are actually, I might even move you to 15 because you're kind of a slow speaker, Cameron. Nice guy. Very, very nice and professional setup. He looks a little sleepy, but okay.
The Eastern Orthodox hierarchy knows it's manufactured. In this video, on-camera confessions from the clergy who run the ceremony, sworn testimony from archbishops, and a court ruling published just months ago on how the fire is really lit. I'm Cameron Bertuzzi with Capturing Catholicism, and this is Eastern Orthodoxy's darkest secret. Our
all right.
Story takes place in the most famous church on earth, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem. Built over the traditional site of the crucifixion and burial of Jesus, in the center of its great rotunda stands a small marble chapel called the Edicule. Inside it, the tomb. Every year on the day before Easter on the Orthodox calendar, tens of thousands of pilgrims pack this building shoulder to shoulder. They've come for one thing. Around midday, the Greek Orthodox Patriarch of Jerusalem arrives. He removes his golden vestments. He stands in a simple white garment. The tomb has been inspected and sealed shut with wax. The seal is then broken. The Patriarch enters alone. He kneels at the stone where Christ's body lay, and he prays. And then, fire. Within minutes, thousands of candles are burning. The fire is rushed to the airport, where chartered flights carry it to Greece, Romania, Georgia, where it's received like a visiting head of state, government ministers, honor guards, live television. The Orthodox tradition makes a very stunning claim about this. This fire, comes from heaven. It appears as a mysterious blue light inside of the sealed tomb. And pilgrims add something more. They say that in its first minutes, the holy fire does not burn. Many say the first 33 minutes, one for each year of Christ's life. And there's footage of this that'll make you look.
It's like 2 or 3 minutes, dude. Stop. Okay, let me see here. NC Joshua says catechumens are like being betrothed to the church, but being baptized is like being married. Very good analogy. The layman apologist says Cameron sadly produces material designed for clicks rather than depth. I'm seeing that. I don't usually watch his stuff, but because he's coming out on a full attack on the holy fire, it's just. Let me see here. Patristic Orthodoxy YouTube says, I remember this. It came out in 2018. I've heard of this leaking out of the JP before. Again, I'm going to explain a little bit more about what I know about the fire, just because of the fact that it is important to remember that there are two different phenomena going on. And I will explain that, but I want to get further into this video. Let's see, Castle Grayskull. It's kind of ridiculous. It's one thing that you're bringing the fire, which is now regular fire, from the tomb of the resurrection. That it should be kind of amazing and awesome by itself. But to assume that it still has supernatural powers immediately afterwards or a day after, it's insane. What did he say about the sworn testimony and a court ruling, says Ramagata? Don't know yet. He's getting to it. So let's continue.
Twice. Watch this.
That's too long, lady.
I'm going to be honest with you because that's the whole point of this channel. That clip we just watched is the single best piece of footage that I found in favor of the miracle. She holds the flame relatively steady against a sweater for seconds. Hold on to that clip though, so we're going to come back to it. And it's
okay. You see, this is the problem I have. They have people running fire over their faces. Lots of videos of this, and he manages to find some lady who seems to be looking to burn her jacket or make a point, but that's not smart. So yeah, let me see here. Sworn testimony, court ruling. He's claiming that some bishop said something. Correction, not C, should be. Okay, let me see. It starts C light. Yeah, okay. Should be as light, then turns into the fire that does not burn and is relatively cool for 30 seconds or so. That's correct. All that's correct. Then it becomes ordinary fire. Also correct. And so this has been something that people have, it's been a phenomenon that people have been using as arguments against Orthodoxy for a long time. There was a Armenian Uniate who claimed to, well, he was a young monk and then he became a Uniate, and they claim that he's like a saint of theirs now. But in any case, he literally held it up to his beard, just waiting to, for like 5-10 minutes, and all of a sudden his beard burned off. Well, that's going to happen. Everybody knew this for a very long time. So it's important to remember that the lighting of the candles and the light that comes as the blue light from all angles are not the same thing. So let's continue on, as I'm sure this is basically going to be a rehash of everything Cleave to Antiquity talked about before he suddenly smelled incense and decided to become World Orthodox.
Not just anonymous pilgrims. A few months ago, Orthodox interviewed an Orthodox priest, his own spiritual father, who was part of Romania's official delegation to the ceremony in 2011. He stood 5 meters from the tomb. Let's listen to him carefully.
The police stopped him, did this control, searching for some lights sources, and then they allowed him to enter in the tomb.
What else happened during the search? So they had the metal detector.
Yes.
So were they going through his?
Yes, like in the airport, but it was impossible to have something on him because he didn't have. He wasn't dressed with all the vestments as a bishop. He had just this white cloth. 24 hours before this, they control every place in the church.
This is the Israeli government.
Yes. So they came, they searched, every corner, and then they close it. They put sigillium. Nobody's allowed to enter. I think I was the second or the third person that received the holy fire. When I saw that it's not burning my hand, he looked at the camera and said, "Yes."
The search, the ceiling, the white garment, the flame that doesn't burn. That interview has tens of thousands of views at the time of this recording. And the comments are full of believers sharing experiences of their own for hundreds of millions of Orthodox Christians, and even some.
Yeah, Gabriel Michael makes a great point. Reckonke says, "What is going on? I've seen people try to burn beards and it doesn't burn." That's true. It won't burn for the first minute or two, but eventually it will. That's the point, because eventually it does turn to regular fire. Gabriel Michael says, "The Latins have been kvetching about this and the wily fraudulent Greeks, quote unquote, and their clever tricks since well before the 13th century." That wouldn't surprise me, because if I remember correctly, when the Crusaders took Jerusalem, they attempted to take the Holy Fire and it disappeared on them. Like it stopped working, and they eventually let the Greeks back in. So yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. But let's continue on with this marvel of technical production, but kind of not exactly the most honest thing.
Catholics. This is not a legend. It's a living miracle. And let me say this plainly, like if this is real, if God sends fire into the empty tomb of Jesus every single year on a schedule in front of cameras, then this is an incredible confirmation of the Christian religion, not just of orthodoxy.
And on our calendar, not yours.
Christianity, heaven itself publicly underlining the resurrection at the very spot where it happened. And if you've watched my content, you know I am not against miracles. I've made entire videos defending miracles, Fatima, Zaytun, Lourdes, Eucharistic miracles. If the Holy Fire is real, I want it to be real, which is exactly why what I found disturbed me so much. Stay with me, because this story does not go where you think it goes. First, let's notice that this tradition is actually making two separate claims. Claim one, the fire starts miraculously. No human hand lights it. And then claim two, once lit, the fire doesn't burn. Not skin, not hair, for the first minutes. Let's start with claim two first, because I found some, let's just say, pretty interesting footage in this regard. And stay with me through this part, because before this video is over, you're going to hear from the man who actually prepares the tomb tell you on camera how the fire really starts.
I cannot see anything, by the way.
Oh, it's the lady who burns the paper.
It's not catching a fire. Wow.
Yeah, it catches on fire eventually.
So watch this over. She's actively trying to keep her paper away from the flame, but it catches
No,
fire
she's
anyways.
not.
And watch what she does next. She puts it out fast. She hides it in her pocket. That is
Wait,
not
hold on.
how you treat fire that cannot burn. And she's
Hold on a second. Did he just say that lady was trying to keep the candles away when she's literally putting it on top of the fire repeatedly? Oh, come on, Cameron. Come on. Yeah, All Rise 99 says the best. Fatima is real, but not the Holy Fire. LOL. Very true. Very true. All right, folks, I will say this. It is 9:35. It is. We may not get to everything because we're only 7 minutes in. That hurts. That's painful, folks. And right now, our total goal is $3.90, and our current standing is $10. We've made $10 since we started. And this stuff happens. This stuff kind of happens. Yeah. Let me see here. Patristic Orthodoxy says Mother Fotini, who was the assistant to the Patriarch Irenaeus, has an interesting story about the Holy Fire, which happened in 2005. In 2005, trying to think about it. Okay, I'd like to hear it sometime. She's outside, and also how many minutes passed? Yeah, that's a pretty well lit candle. That's not that candle's been lit for like 2-3 minutes already. The layman apologist says, I told you Cameron is not good faith. Yeah, I'm seeing that. I'm seeing that now. Let's see. By the way, the candle, the Holy Fire is said to have lit the candles of Father Ignati Raha at the Rokor Hebron Monastery. He's also said to have refused to commemorate the Jerusalem Patriarchate. Yeah, now that's one thing that I do hear, whether it is inside the sepulcher and sometimes outside, that True Orthodox have been getting the Holy Fire still, sometimes through more supernatural means, or sometimes through the technical means you see of the blue lights lighting the lamps and the candles in the room. So, yeah. Matthew Metanoia says, why don't they put a camera in there and show the fire start on his own? Does it not work under that condition? Here's the fun part, Matthew. If you actually watch like any of these full Holy Fire ceremonies that are like, 3-4 hours long, where they include all the chanting people in Arabic and so on and so forth, when you get to any Holy Fire sequence and you watch, you'll start seeing what looks like a bunch of camera flashes, but there aren't that many cameras in the room. It's just video cameras. They're not like flash photography. What's actually happening is that there are bursts of light that are happening that actually look like camera flashes without an origin point. In other words, they're just popping up out of nowhere. Father Boniface disappeared. Okay, hopefully he comes back soon. And I think I heard something. I gotta go get to my phone. So yeah, Matthew, for all intents and purposes, they do have that. It's just that, people don't want to accept the truth, is what it really comes down to. Let me see here. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Hold on. D sent me $5. I appreciate it, to help keep the lights on via Cash App. So thank you so much. Let's put that in there. And that brings us to, hold on. So I'm very appreciative of that, because we're now at $15. I don't always expect to succeed, but I do. It feels good when I get at least a couple or a few people who donate, because even then I do know that, it's not just going out into the ether. So I'm very appreciative of every donation I get. So thank you for that, D. We are now at a goal of 385, and we have 15 left. Hopefully Father Boniface comes back. But okay, wait, hold on. Whoa. Okay, that's big. It would appear DTC and the DTC Army, whoever they be, have donated $200 via Give Send Go. So thank you so much, and let's put that on the board, because that brings us a lot closer. Because now we're only about $85 to go to get to the 3/4 mark, and $185 to go to get to the victory, the total, so we can stay till 11:30. But if we can make it $85 further, we can stay till 11. Give me one moment. So yeah, we are close now. Thank you so much. We're now at $215 with a goal left of 185. So let's continue with the comments real quick, and then we'll get back to this. Let's see. Your lamps can't remember. Is there an article about the Georgia monasteries leaving for the fringe group? I don't even like calling them a fringe group, because that implies that they're extreme when they're just fake. Like, can we just call them the weirdos or something? The degenerates? Like, fringe implies that they are extreme, and they are not extreme. They're quite the opposite, unless you mean extremely gay. Okay, let me see here. Matthew Metanoia, Patricia, whether I actually agree with you, the Lord's miracles were done in public. Truth does not fear investigation. And it is worth talking about because I don't know that Cameron's going to talk about this. We still don't know yet. I hope he would. But there have actually been studies, scientific studies done by Greek and Russian universities where they literally analyzed the church itself with spectrometers and things as this occurred. And one Russian study did manage to conclude that, in fact, it's kind of like an EMP almost that occurs, and it occurs at the opposite side of the room. It's not occurring in the tomb at all. It's just in the general vicinity. So that's an interesting thing. And let me see here. Debt to Compromise says, big dono to defeat the Tuver boys. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Let's see here. I heard that the Holy Fire descended in Cobleskill on Holy Thursday before the Holy Friday Matins. It has even happened in other places beside the Tomb of Christ. I've never heard that, but if that happened, I mean, a part of it would make so much sense if the Holy Fire started occurring in, other big cathedrals, just as, Christians in the Holy Land are just going through such a trial. I mean, it would make sense. It would open the door to some fraud, I assume, because that's like with miracle icons. But I mean, if that happens, that could be a big thing. But I would be very suspicious about that. Oh, welcome back, Father Boniface. Okay, you're back. Benedicite. So let me see here. Amanda with the hands up. Father Boniface is adjusting his camera. Layman Apologist says, wow. Reconquista says 200 big ones. Quran says big dub DTC. Sunrise says got the NFTU jet in the thumbnail. That's right. Matushka Senya says, do they mean the flashes of light? That is my Matushka and moderator. There she is. And we're talking about the flashes of light because Cameron doesn't want to talk about that. He wants to talk about how, people hold it too long. Like he just showed some lady was holding a bunch of paper till it finally burned. So I think he's going to be doing a lot of that. And he did claim that was the only credible video he saw. So in other words, the only credible video he saw is the one where it started burning things. It's just so obvious that this is an attempt at propaganda. But let's get back to Cameron at 1.5 speed.
Not alone. Here's a second video.
See? Why are they doing that? Why all of a sudden they're like, oh, let's burn some paper. Let's see how long. That's literally calling. That's literally, that's testing God, dude. Romagata says, Father Joseph, your presbytera is so pretty. Yes, I agree. She really is. People really hate me for that. No, I'm just kidding. They don't have it. It's like, but thank you. Thank you. I'm sure she appreciates it, considering that she just wrote, so she definitely saw it. Reconquista says, if a true Orthodox bishop were to move to the JP, would the fire light as well? Okay. Here's the thing. As I've been explaining, the holy fire does not just come from the tomb. And from what it sounds like there may be some stuff going on in the tomb itself that is not the sacred fire we're talking about. It is a different fire that could be a hand-lit thing. NC Mountain Joshua says you need to speed up that video. I mean, I could try double speed. I don't know. Gabriel Michael says Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth. The example of his light is like a niche, which is a lamp. What are we reading here? The lamp is within glass. The glass is if it were a pearly star lit from the oil of a blessed olive tree, neither from the east nor of the west. No oil would all glow if untouched by fire. Light upon light. Allah, God's with light. What the heck is that? Is that? I don't know what that is. That's very strange. Sorry, Gabriel Michael. It just sounds weird. All right, let's try speeding up the video just slightly. Okay, yeah. So that's a Quran verse. Very interesting. I guess he would have probably seen the miracle of the holy fire. It would have been around his time. So, all right, we're gonna move the playback speed to 175 if possible, and let's see if he's still understandable. He should be.
As you watch this clip, notice the physics on display, okay? They're holding the paper far away from the flame, so it takes a little while to light, but enough heat accumulates and it eventually lights. They blow it out quickly. A miracle fire that obeys distance and contact time is simply
Who said that they kept it far away? Because it looks like they were putting it in the flame.
not a miracle. Okay, it's a description of how pretty much every flame that has ever existed works. Which brings me to the observation I think settles claim 2 on its own. In every one of these videos, what is the holy fire doing over and over thousands of times an hour? It's lighting other candles, like almost instantly on contact. So which is it? Fire that ignites everything it touches, or a fire that can't burn anything? You can't have both. Fire that lights a wick on contact.
Because the whole point is that the fire that when it's not burning will still light other candles.
But supposedly can't singe a beard isn't a new kind of fire. It's ordinary fire, because what fire ignites has always depended on what you touch to it and for how long. Paper and wicks catch, skin moving through a flame doesn't. That's not theology, that's just how candles work. But so what about the videos where it seems not to burn? Look closely though, and you'll find that they're actually very easily naturally explicable, usually by more than one factor at once. The famous face washing and beard passing, I mean, the explanation is clearly motion. Watch that.
Now you notice that with this kind of video, he's very dismissive. The ones that he takes seriously are the ones where the burn happens. This is like really predictable propaganda.
The hands though, the flame never rests in one place. And you don't have to take my word that ordinary fire behaves the same way. Here's someone doing the exact same experiments in his own studio with an ordinary flame near and on his face and on his hands. No tomb, no patriarch, but the same miracle. It's just motion and contact time. That's basically the whole trick. Now let's come back to the sweater clip that I played for you earlier. It's my honest best of for their side. But there's 3 things I want you to notice. So 1, freeze the frame right here. The flame is leaving black scorch marks on this woman's white sweater. It's depositing heat and soot, exactly what ordinary flame does to fabric that chars instead of catching. A lot of fabrics do that. Paper, on the other hand, doesn't have that choice. And 2, watch what happens after.
So translation, as I said, he picked the videos that he felt would be most conducive to his cause, dismisses the ones that are not. Kind of boring. Gabriel Michael, Quran says, bro, Gabriel Michael just had a seizure in chat. What? No, I think I'm actually understanding this now. Gabriel Michael says Arabic Quran, probably allusion to the holy fire. Muslims do not like to admit this, however. But that's true because people, from what I understand, the main person who handles the holy fire, not the holy fire, but the ceremony now is the Grand Mufti of Palestine. And so he's kind of been in charge for a long time of this, and they really, really wanted to debunk the holy fire, and were never successful. Now, as I pointed out in Cleve's video, certain Coptic monks, I think, and basically claim that there's a hidden candle in the wall somewhere. So we'll probably see that next. But right now, he's focusing on these videos that show evidence of burning, which is something he's been doing the whole time, and dismissing videos that don't. And so let's continue.
She holds it steady for a second. She goes right back to just moving it around. And then 3, she knows that she's being recorded at what might be the emotional peak of her religious life. Like, again, people flock and pilgrim here in the thousands. So in her case, it could just be adrenaline, doing what adrenaline does. And then
I feel like for somebody who really accepts the miracle of the alleged miracle of Fatima, which I believe was demonic, I do remember one of Fatima's big defenders, William Albrecht, in a discussion with him, trying to point to the fact that the sun dried people's clothes after it rained as some kind of miracle. If he applied the level of skepticism he's applying here to his own miracles, he would have no basis to believe in them at all. That's what I have to say.
Found something really interesting. I found an unlisted video on YouTube in Greek, which is probably why nobody's seen it yet. Now, this one may be a second angle of the very same scene. I can't confirm that, so you got to judge for yourself. But honestly, it doesn't matter whose hair this is. Like, just watch what happens. Her hair literally catches fire. Okay, she puts it out very quickly, and then she goes right back to waving the flame under.
It does look like another. Welcome, Father Chad.
Hi. How are you guys doing?
I'm all right. Yeah, this looks like another angle of the same woman. He as soon as he said, "I don't know if it's the same angle or not," I think he knows, and he knows it's the same woman. So
is this the guy you're going to debate? This guy?
No, I'm talking about preterism tomorrow. That's the thing tomorrow. Now, I did offer to debate him, and I did put that plainly. I actually got like 20 likes on it, but he's of the professional class in Roman Catholicism, so he's not going to come close to trying to touch me.
I think it's fascinating. He's Roman Catholic. He needs to read my Fatima series. But you know what I think is even more rich is how they put wax masks on their so-called incorruptible saints. I'd like to see him complain about that one. I could provide him a list.
Yeah, again, it's always selective, and it's always partisan. Sunrise says we was scientists. Let's see. So the point with Gabriel Michael is very simply that the Muslims have direct contact with the people in charge of the Holy Fire and have for hundreds of years and wanted to debunk it and failed. We're on to the big one. Okay, big pray and play. I didn't get it. From God says our minds are not able to comprehend these things of God. This video is done in poor taste. Absolutely. I'm getting pretty tired of it. So as soon as people vote to take it off, I'm done. Because as soon as the viewers feel sufficient that we've kind of covered it and it's dead, I'll take it off. Quran says, Father Chan, what up with the yellow robe? And how come the priest, the other Greek video we're watching, all white? Father Joseph knows what video I mentioned earlier. I actually am not sure what video you're mentioning earlier, but yellow and white vestments, originally Orthodox vestments were just light and dark. So while some people may wear white, some people can wear gold, and I think that's allowed on the same days because they're considered analogs. But
gold vestments are the default for the Russian church.
Yeah, so that's what that answers that.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Wax mask, is that on a video? Is that on that video game Saint? No, that's on a lot of. I mean, I don't know about the Gamer Kid. Maybe it is, but they put on a lot of them. Gabriel Michael says 50,000 people were assembled. Interesting that many there did not notice any unusual meteorological phenomenon at the so-called miracle of the gyrating sun. Yeah. And they were under the Georgian Patriarchate after no one else would have them, but absolutely no one was Georgian there. Yeah, no, I know that's I know you're talking about there, Yanakari. Sunrise says, so papists claim the holy fire was fake, but then believe in stigmata and foreskin rings. That is correct, sir. Okay, Reader John says, this viewer is done with the video. Okay, Servant of God says, video no good, way stink tame. Okay. Sunrise with a member chat says, I believe in Reader God. Reader John. The Reader God. Don't let that. That was a mistake. Gold looks better, to be honest. Slave Father Chat. Okay. Let's see. I have no prayer quarter icons yet either. If you want, you can reach out to us. I'm at editor@nftu.net, and I'll see what I can do to help. Gold, yeah. Let's see here. So we have 3 votes to cancel. I get 7 more votes, and I stop the video. I might even take 5 just because this is really boring.
Do you want me to make it interesting? You wanted to hear about Mother Fotini, who was the assistant of the Jerusalem Patriarch.
Well, yeah, no, that is interesting to hear, but it won't make the video better. But go ahead.
Right. Well, anyway, just making the topic more interesting. So
that's for DTC. Go ahead.
She was the assistant to Patriarch Irenaeus, and she's quite a firebrand. She's Australian, and she had a lot of experiences over there. Her son was a student of mine in our school of theology. But anyway, at Velitica Andronique's funeral, God rest his soul, she was there, and we were staying at the same house, and so in the morning we got to talk for a really long time, and she was telling me all these stories from the Jerusalem Patriarch. One of the stories that she told me was that in 2005, she said, at 3 churches for 10 days straight, the candles would just spontaneously light up with the holy fire with the same, features.
Wow.
And she said the 3 churches were the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, the Church of the Holy Cross, and the Tomb of the Mother of God. And
wow.
She says this happened just constantly for 10 days. And they asked Patriarch Irenaeus, what does this mean? What do you think this means? He said that it means that the holy fire will continue on for another 10 years. But after 10 years, it's not going to come. And so 2016 comes around, and everybody's going to the holy fire. And remember, this is a very devout woman. She probably wouldn't miss it. But she says, I'm not going because it's not going to be real. So
Wow.
priest told her, well, I'm going to the holy fire, and he said he came back and both sides of his beard were just burned all the way up. And they were scorched.
Wow.
And she's like, I told you, I told you not to go. It's not going to be real this year. So that's quite an interesting story. Now, I'm not going to sit here and go. First of all, it's a story of somebody who I do not believe is a liar. Okay, but second of all, I'm not going to make some grand interpretation that it'll never descend again or anything like that out of it. But I do think that's interesting, and I also think that's interesting because that's right before the COVID-19 thing. And if you remember, during COVID-19, you could not get into the holy fire unless you were quote unquote fully vaccinated with the vaccines with the aborted fetal matter. So, or at least in the production of it. So, it would make sense that was the case. But anyway, as a sense, people are kind of bored of that. Speaking of another story of Mother Fotini, some of you have heard this, but she's actually the person who has this testimony where she was in the tomb of St. John the Baptist.
Okay.
And this is where Archimandrite Antonin Kapustin, in the early 20th century, late 19th, early 20th century, he asceticized in the cave of St. John the Baptist. And so she was the cell attendant of Patriarch Irenaeus, and they discovered in there his notes. And I can read this here. I'll probably get to the right point here. This is telling about her biography. Okay, my dear brothers and sisters, please allow me to convey to you a very important message, since we, together with the members of our brotherhood, will live under the authority of our beloved Patriarch Irenaeus, true martyr of our time. That's her opinion. Through me, the unworthy one, Nun Fotini, the Patriarch would like to send you his blessings and his prayers. At the same time, he also asks that you remember him in your prayers, etc. I'm trying to get to this point where she finds this prophecy in there. Okay, let me bring to your attention some historical facts regarding the current patriarch in Russia, whose name I will not mention again now. She's talking about the current one, Kirill, who you know he is very well. Here's what happened here. In 2007, the two churches united. On 17th May 2007, Rokor and Moscow Patriarchate joined together and celebrated the event. While this was happening, Patriarch Irenaeus of Jerusalem was begging the church in exile, Rokor, not to rush towards unity, but rather wait a little longer. He told them if they would be patient, they would be shown all the hidden inner workings. But they did not listen, and the enemies of humanity raced to destroy the Church of Christ as quickly as they could. And it happened that in the same year, only a little later, on August 29th, 2007, Kirill, who was yet only a metropolitan back then, had an official visit and met here at the Wailing Wall with his dear brothers, the Hasidic Jews. Of course, she's saying that tongue-in-cheek, to whom he solemnly promised publicly live on Israeli television channel the following: "My dear Hasidic brothers, I, the next patriarch, will do for you everything in my power to make sure that your dream will come true," end quote. And this promise he continually tries to fulfill. But the second most important thing is this: in 2004, in the Gorny Monastery, the Mount Monastery, began to build a church dedicated to all Russian saints. In 2007, the church was completed and was awaiting to be sanctified. And on August 29th, when Kirill came, he consecrated the church to the memory of all Russian saints. A few years after his departure, in 2009, an order was given to have a small cave uncovered in honor of St. John the Baptist, who is said to have lived during his early years. When excavations began, they came across the archive of Antonin Kapustin, who was the archimandrite from 1817 to 1894. Oh, my dates were a little wrong. I thought he lived to the early 1900s. He didn't. It seems that when Khrushchev sold all the estates, the archive was hidden, being buried in this cave. But with this occasion, the archive was found, uncovering a priceless treasure. To me, the sinner, Mother Fotini, was given the opportunity to witness and examine this archive personally. And by the way, I want to stop reading and say, she told me this. So this is not just me reading something that you can find on the internet. Yes, you can probably find this on the internet, but I'm telling you, she told me of her experience personally. So I'm hearing this directly from the eyewitness, and I'm relaying it to you guys. Okay, I'll continue though with this written version. I've read this archive, and in there was written the following: I, Archimandrite Antonin Kapustin, while working on the foundation of the upper church from Gorny Monastery dedicated to the memory of all the saints, I had a terrible vision that I would not be able to complete it, but that it would only be completed right before the coming of the Antichrist and will be sanctified by the forerunner of the Antichrist, end quote. The monastery was sanctified, of course, by Kirill and Mark of Berlin, the betrayer of the church in exile, or the Rokor. Here it is. Here's the living proof. I begged them, the sisters of the monastery, to give this archive to me for safekeeping, arguing that as a member of Rokor and foreigner to this land, it will somehow be better protected, as they would not dare do anything to me. But the sisters obviously did not consider it appropriate to entrust it to me. They believed that they should hand it over to the abbess and then further on to others, so that many would find the truth and be saved. But they were all miserably deceived. These are not the times when the spread of orthodoxy works like that anymore, but the time that leads to perdition. The archive disappeared, and all the sisters who have read it have perished, except for me, the last one. They all believed that nobody would listen to me anyway, being a foreigner, but they were mistaken. I believe that God will still look in someone's soul, and somebody will understand what is happening today, will listen to these words. So you're running, and by running, you are doing the right thing, and the catacombs is our only salvation. Remember our imprisoned patriarch, etc. So, but anyway, fascinating story, and I think that's a story. These are the types of stories that people that are investigating true orthodoxy really need to hear, because sometimes we can bring sort of the canonical or the patristic witness of you should never be under a heretical bishop, etc., etc. But to hear these prophecies and various things, this also really has a deep effect on the human soul. So,
yeah, no, I would agree with that. I mean, it's the I'm torn. I'm a little torn by that because some could argue that we're kind of living in an age of an antichrist right now. And so the simple reality is that, but it's not the Antichrist, is my point.
I agree with you, Father. Actually, I'm going to disagree. I don't think, I don't expect that the Antichrist is right around the corner, like within the next 10 years or something like that.
But if you think about it, like during the Soviet persecutions, etc., it was totally conceivable to see it that way because of the fact that they were dealing with evils that were unspeakable. And I mean, we still are, but at this point, we're kind of inured to them.
But we could probably say, could the Antichrist come in 10 years? Sure. Yeah, we could totally be wrong. I don't think
we're wrong. That's my point. Like if you look at like Saint Glyceria of Romania, one thing that a lot of people point to and they try to mock it is that he had a dream where the year of Antichrist would be 1982. But there was still a lot of evil and unprecedented evil happening in 1982. So I don't know. I'm not saying that they're wrong. What I'm saying is that they were absolutely right for their time and in their perception, because the world is that much more evil. Like, I mean, let's face it. 75 years ago, most of Orthodoxy was in danger, and we're in tatters. I mean, I forget who it was. If it was Archbishop Verki who said something like, "We're clinging to Orthodoxy by our fingernails." You can correct me on that if I got that wrong. But the point is, we're not in great shape. Like,
well, if we're not in the
great
apostasy, we're probably in a forerunner of the great apostasy type season. I mean,
yeah, we're in a slightly less great apostasy.
Yeah, I mean, St. Nicholas of Japan, for example, is pretty recent in the grand scheme of things, but he even said that Orthodoxy is going to spread more. It'll permeate more in the world, and thousands of years, he said, must pass. No, I have to admit, I don't agree with the thousands of years. But if it were a few centuries, that's consistent with what I think could happen. Do I think it will? I don't do that. say this is what's going to happen. That would be foolish. The total end of the world could come very soon in our lifetimes, and we just say, "Come quickly, Lord Jesus." But I think probably more likely it's going to get a lot worse before it gets a lot better, if it is going to get better, because the powers that shouldn't be are, they've got some plans for the world that they, in their hubris, think they're going to be able to accomplish. But I think the demons aren't. I think ultimately they know they're going to totally fail, and it's just they always do. They always do.
That is an interesting that's an interesting theological point on its own. The question of whether the demons are truly aware of their failure. Because from my end, I tend to think that they are so inclined to evil that whether they win or lose doesn't even matter to them. That it's gotten to that point that they just have to do what they've always been doing, which is destroy.
Well, they certainly never want to be sent to the abyss. I mean, even in the gospel, they ask the Lord, if you come to torment us before the time. They know their time is coming. The book of the Apocalypse, speaks of Satan coming down to the earth because he knows that his time is short, etc. So I do think that the demons don't know what humility is. They're totally hubristic. They're totally arrogant, and etc. etc. So I see what you're saying. But ultimately, I think they just live in constant. That's part of their eternal torment that has already begun inside of themselves.
Yeah,
they know that there's no hope for them, and they're just waiting. They know they're going to get back.
Yeah, I think the whole point is that they just want to take down as many people with them as they can.
Yeah.
But let me see here. We got comments, and then I'm going to get back to the video so far. Let me see here. Latin Boy says self-lighting igniting phosphorus fire should burn your skin immediately. Yep, it's not that. That has been a constant accusation from Muslims. Also,
that's a good point.
It's not possible.
Yeah,
it's scientifically impossible. Gula Homo says perhaps it's satanic fire since he's the father of lies as well as can copy God sometimes. I just can't believe that, because that would imply that Satan has been giving people faith in our Lord Jesus Christ now for hundreds upon hundreds of years, and I don't think so. I more think the debunkers are probably more satanic, and it seems to be kind of true in this video. Karan Rendell says, Father Chad, I checked out your Substack. Honestly, some pretty relevant conversations to the time. I heard you mention a YouTube channel possibly starting one. Any update?
Yeah, sure. Commitment. I'm looking at a wide diaphragm microphone right now. I just waiting tomorrow in the mail. I should be receiving the right digital interface to, be able to capture hopefully all this professional microphone stuff to my laptop. So I appreciate everybody's prayers.
Well, I'm going to point out here because there are a few more comments I want to get through. So I want to get through all of them as well as I can. But I will point out, help keep the lights on. Support us by subscribing or donating at NFTU.net with various options like PayPal, Cash App, BTC, LTC, or XMR, or on Give, Send, Go. Just look in the description. And I'm going to say we are close. We're currently at $215 out of a $400 goal. $85 will allow us to stay on until past 10:30 to 11. And if we make it to the 185 goal, we will stay till 11:30. So that is what we're aiming for. And also, don't forget the debate tomorrow. Thank you to all who have donated. So we've gotten this far. So let's see how far we can get. And with that, let's continue with the comments. Let's see. Isn't the whole point that once the Tsar is gone, the Antichrist is near? One of the things is the question of if there's no one who restraineth, then the demons can move freely. And we've been in that state now for 100 years, and look at the results. Servant of God says, Father Joseph, 100%. Homo says, watch the Collapse documentary for reference. The timing may be wrong, but when it describes eerily our times. I've never heard of that movie. I guess if anyone wants to comment on that, feel free. NT Mountain Joshua says, only the Father knows the day or the time. Very true. Debt to Compromise, by contrast, says, Rome thought they conquered the world too. Also true. Servant of God says, the demons failed on the night of the crucifixion, but they don't get it. or they're desperately trying to avoid it. I definitely agree there. Romagata says, before the Antichrist comes, Prophet Elias and Prophet Enoch will come to preach. That's a sign, we are told, right? Or I misunderstand. Nope, you're absolutely right on that. That is standard Orthodox eschatology.
The other thing about the demons, though, is people should realize, and I like to tell people, the demons have to ask Christ for absolutely everything. If the demons did what they wanted to do with you, they would tear you apart right now. They're smart, not just smarter than you are, they're more powerful than you are, and they drag your soul to hell. But Christ simply does not permit them to do that. That's why when people come to me and they say, "Oh, I was investigating orthodoxy and something pushed me from behind," or I had one time there was. I was sharing orthodoxy with a native, I'll just say family, and the sister was being communicated with. The book fell off the shelf and the page just started rattling on the ground. Things like this, when they happen, I point out to people, look, if that's all the devil could do, we're in good shape here. But what the demons try to do is they try to get you to fear them. But what did the Lord say? Fear not him who is able to kill the body, and after that has nothing that he can do, but kill him who has power to kill both body and soul, destroy both body and soul in hell. So the demons certainly don't want us to fear God who loves us. They want us to fear them, which is a really bad idea.
Yeah, that's true. Great Bib says, hello, everyone. Hello. Recklin Keys says, whatever happened to Father Moses or, Mr. Priest mansion? I don't know. And Yanakari says he decided to just turn it into a gym. If true, that would be kind of a scam. Gula Homu says, isn't the Holy Fire contaminated, though, since you see other denominations also participating on that holy day nowadays? They're allowed to participate just because it is an open ceremony. I think only the patriarch can go into the tomb, but more importantly, the holy fire comes down to give everyone faith in Christ. So it's not quite, I don't think that's an area where it can be contaminated in any way. Sunrise with a member chat. Oh, and Sunrise with a $9.99 donation. Thank you so much. Use this to afford one burrito at Taco Bell. You have no idea how big a burrito I could make with $10 at Taco Bell. But let's add that to the total. So we're currently at that Sunrise giving 20, and we're currently at. Hold on, this is big stuff. We're now at 225. So that means we've got only 175 to go. If we can get to, as I mentioned, if we can get to 300, which is $75 left, by 10:30, we'll stay till 11. If we get to 175 and we clear the 400, we'll stay till 11:30. But anyway, let me continue with the comments. Let me see here. Were there any more? Sunrise says, but with a member chat says, but there are also some saints who say that there is a possibility for a new star if people repent. Yep, that's true. There are some who do say that. You were going to say something, Father, or somebody?
No, I was just saying, right, and I tend to think that's still possible. It's actually a bit discouraging how many clergy I run into or have run into in the past that think that's ridiculous for me to think that. But, with God, nothing is impossible.
Exactly. We just don't know. Barnold asks, okay, what's going on? What is the church's view on Goy-Slop? Depends on, it depends on, how Goy and how Slop. Romagata says, what is Dormition Fast for the real calendar? Dormition Fast starts on August 1st, Old Style, which is August 14th, which is a Friday on the Gregorian calendar. So it starts then with the procession of the Word of the Cross, and then goes on to the 28th, which is the 15th on the Old Style, and that's the Feast of the Dormition, which is also on a Friday. So it's 2 Fridays long. 2 weeks. Let's see here. So the Gregorian date for the start of the fast would be the 14th. So it's not far. It's literally this week. Ron says, I hope Father Chad is wrong. LMAO, love Father Chad, but I hope the Antichrist is far, far away.
Well, I think that's what I said, isn't it? Okay. So if you want me to speculate, and please realize that I'm not even holding myself to this, but if I were to just speculate based on prophecies I've read and, taking the temperature of, I guess the world around me, and I think it's going to get really bad, and probably there will be a lot of people will perish, probably in our lifetimes, unfortunately, if the Lord tarries the second coming, and if we, if we have regular life spans. But I could see in the wake of mass death and destruction and things that could happen, probably will happen, World War III type scenarios. Maybe some intervention from, who knows, some natural event as well. That if that happens, that people could turn to God en masse. And
Well, I think we saw that with COVID.
well, I'm talking about something far worse than COVID. There's one prophecy. There's one prophecy that says in one day, 50% of the world's population is going to perish. I mean, I'm talking about that level. I'm not going to put a number on it or even a percentage myself, but I'm talking about something really.
Well, it's 2/3 of the earth in the Book of Revelation.
If that's the case, I could see people turning to God en masse and turning back to the Christian faith, the Orthodox faith, and to, I could see centuries of winning the lost, because really, I can see what I'm actually, I lean towards the St. Nicholas of Japan because I'm kind of missionary in my heart. I want to see all nations, peoples, kindreds, tongues on the face of the earth accept orthodoxy. St. Nicholas of Japan makes a very good point where he says that, 2,000 years is not that long for such, a glorious gospel, and he says that for the truth to barely appear and then fall into papism and Protestantism, and he says that European peoples really haven't really, for the most part, except for the saints. I think of course he accepts the saints, but they, the peoples of Europe haven't really been saturated even with the gospel, much less so many different tribes. I mean, my brother was an Assembly of God missionary in Nepal, and he was going on trails up in the Himalayas to people that reportedly had never heard the name of Jesus Christ. The scripture says, and this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in all the world as a witness to all ethnos, all people groups.
Oh,
and
okay. I got to stop you there because we just got a super chat from we just got a Cash App donation from RJ. And so thank you for that. So that puts us at 245. So we're only 55 left, so we can stay a little bit longer, and we're only 145 away from the goal. So this is fantastic. Thank you so much for helping keep the lights on. And let's keep going.
Okay, so sorry to interrupt, no problem. So just as I restart, I just want to say this is speculation on my part, and again, if I'm not holding it in an absolute way, you shouldn't hold it in an absolute way. This is just me thinking what could happen within, just as advised by the Orthodox faith and saints and prophecies, etc. But I could see another several centuries happen where entire nations come into the church. There seem to be prophecies in that regard. For example, in the more near future, probably the prophecy I expect will come true will be that China will come into the church. There's a prophecy that China will invade Siberia. Of course, those peoples have a historic link to Siberia anyway, and that they will try to press to the Ural Mountains, but they'll be stopped there. But that the Chinese will take Russian wives, and it says that China will be baptized in Russia. I think that's totally plausible. In fact, if you listen to geostrategic platforms and political commentators, they're already talking about this. They're already talking about China taking over Siberia. So it seems to me that Russia and China are friends of convenience right now, and I don't even know how friendly they really are. Probably the historic communist ties are all they have left, and yes, I think those are still very real. And after they join forces against us, if they do, I expect they probably will, but I can't say for sure. and try to hurt us as much as they can together, then I expect in the wake of that, China won't have any better place to press than in the historic Russian territory. So the point is, I think a lot of these prophecies, there's a good chance for some of them to be taking place. But yeah, I think we could see centuries more of the history of the world. The problem, see, I was raised with the whole Left Behind as a Protestant. I was raised with the rapture and all of that. And, that is a very unhealthy way to live. I remember growing up thinking the rapture could happen at any moment, when you're a kid, And I remember after I graduated Bible college, that was the first thing to go. I think it was the first doctrine as I was studying on my own, that the rapture was the first thing to go. But, I think a lot of those theories penetrated in the 20th century into different Orthodox circles. And there's something very self-referential about that that I don't think is quite entirely healthy. I don't have to be the one during main event in human history. And one of those main events that we know will happen is the man of sin will be revealed, the final Antichrist. Now, could it happen in our time? Certainly. But, whether it's probable or not, I'm just not comfortable with saying with any certainty that is the case. I think we've seen too many forerunners of the Antichrist. Remember, the Russian church spoke of Napoleon as a forerunner of the Antichrist.
Yeah. Okay, well, what I'm going to do, because there's some conflict in the chat here, but Barnold does make a good point. If we're going to review the video, let's we have about 8 minutes so far, unless we can basically get it, basically $55. Hopefully we do. But I'm going to start playing the video so we can put more.
How many
review
votes
on
do you
it.
have? How many votes do you have to close it?
Right now the votes are actually 5-2, so it's close versus keep 5-2, and neither side made 10.
Her arm like nothing happened while the phones keep rolling. That's not a woman holding miracle fire. Okay, that's a woman who just got burned by ordinary fire and then kept performing for the phones, which is exactly what I've been describing. You've got this belief that this is miraculous fire. You've got adrenaline in this moment, and then you've got an audience in front of you that's going to carry this person straight through the evidence that's sitting right in front of their face against them. It's really strange. Let's zoom out for a second. Okay, tens of thousands of pilgrims film this every single year. We see the clips where nothing catches because they're moving it back and forth. We just watched paper catch twice and hair catch once. If the flame truly didn't burn.
Now, notice what happened here. So he's already provided an alternate explanation for why the fire doesn't burn, which is fire just doesn't burn that's not accurate. But anyway, it's funny how he's created a narrative to explain away everything.
For 33 minutes after it lit, or even just a few minutes after it lit, there'd be a trivial way to show that it was miraculous. Hold one object still in the flame on camera for 60 seconds. I mean, just 5 seconds to 10 seconds. Like, just do it for a little while. But in all of my research, I couldn't find one single example of someone holding the flame steady for longer than.
Okay, something more important. Foxfield Theologian Foxfield Bridgerton has just given $200. That basically means we're here till 11:30, folks, because that just cleared the goal by $45. So we have reached the goal. We're plus 40. Thank you so much, Foxfield Bridgeton. We really appreciate it. And we've gone over by $40, I believe. Yeah, $45. So 45. Our current is 4:45. We are staying late, folks. So let's continue on. And thank you again for that awesome donation. Wasn't it Ramagana says, wow, Foxfield, until 1 a.m. No, until 1 a.m.
Praise the Lord. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hey.
Gula Homu says, may God and the Panagia bless. And Debt to Compromise says, woo! 1 a.m. Not happening. I'm never going to do that. Congratulations, Father Joseph. Stay till 2 a.m. I think we're going to need a few more $100 for that to happen. But we're here till 11:30 now, so let's continue with the video review.
In a few seconds. In over 1,000 years of this ceremony, that demonstration simply doesn't exist. Now, to be fair, some pilgrims do insist that the early flame felt different to them. It felt cooler, it felt gentler. I believe that they believe it in the same way that I believe that people that walk on hot coals at motivational seminars report the same thing for reasons that are physics and psychology, but not heaven, right? Anecdotes cut both ways, which is exactly why claim 2 that we've been discussing was never really the heart of this story. The heart of this video is claim 1. Where does the fire originally come from? The Patriarchate's website answered from God. A true miracle, which admits no doubt. But go look for that sentence today on the official website of the Patriarchate of Jerusalem. You won't find it. It's been removed. In 2018, the Patriarchate of Jerusalem quietly removed the miracle claim from its official website. The decisive edit came on June 23rd, 2018. No announcement, no correction, no explanation to the millions of faithful who had read it there for years. The claim just vanished. And this is not an internet rumor. We know exactly how and when that redaction happened, because the whole story ended up, of all places, in a courtroom in Athens, tested line by line. How it got there is the story of this entire video. It begins with a question someone had just
We covered this last year. A guy wrote a book.
asked inside of the Patriarchate. A question so simple and so dangerous, apparently, that it set all of this in motion. How does the fire start? Meet the journalist, Dimitri Alakakos, co-founder of a Greek fact-checking organization, and this detail matters. He is the son of an Orthodox priest. As a boy standing inside the sanctuary, he watched his own father light the lamp on Holy Saturday night. Now, before I tell you what happened next in the story, you deserve to know how we know it, because everything you're about to hear has a legitimate paper trail that anyone can go find for themselves. You do not have to take my word for it. In 2019, this journalist published his investigation into the Holy Fire as a book. The church's response was to sue him, and that turned out to be just a catastrophic mistake, because for nearly 7 years, Greek courts tested that book, the conversations, the recordings, the dates, line by line. In the final court ruling issued this February 2026, which I'll open for you in just a few minutes, the court found that the journalist recorded these conversations accurately. So as you listen to what follows, remember, none of this is gossip. This is not internet rumor. All of it survived a courtroom. It starts with a phone call. Okay, April 12th, 2018. This journalist calls the Patriarchate of Jerusalem and is connected to the second in command, the chief secretary, an archbishop named Aristarchos. Per the book, a man twice a candidate for the Patriarch's throne itself. On that first call, it lasted 16 minutes and 52 seconds. The second in command told the journalist, confidently, the Patriarchate keeps a careful stance on the matter of the Holy Fire. As you'll see if you visit our website, we make no mention of a miracle of the Holy Fire. The journalist interrupted him because he had the website open in front of him. End of the first paragraph, word for word. It is a true miracle which admits no doubt. The second in command's reaction? But how is that possible? Where does it say that? Send it to me. Now, sit with that for a second. Okay, the number 2 of the Patriarchate believed his church's official position carefully avoided the word miracle and was alarmed to learn his own website was claiming one. Why would that word alarm him? What followed were at least 15 documented phone calls over about 2 months, all of them about one thing, changing that text, nearly all at the journalist's initiative. On May 25th, the Archbishop himself called with good news. A substitute had been found from an old church publication. His words, "This will not scandalize." Demetrius, the journalist, asked, "Has the Patriarch seen it?" The answer, of course, it has his approval. The website was corrected in 2 edits, May 4, and then decisively on June 23rd, 2018. The sentence was therefore gone. The redaction you saw at the beginning of this video, done knowingly, carefully, and with the personal approval of the Patriarch of Jerusalem. And one more embarrassing detail, for years, the Patriarchate's website carried the official prayer of the Holy Fire. The prayer read at the ceremony itself, the entire prayer minus exactly one phrase, this one, of the light perpetually and ever burningly kindled. Okay, so the church's own prayer refers to a perpetually burning light inside the tomb. And in the posted version, as the journalist discovered, tipped off by an archbishop you'll meet in the courtroom soon, that was the one phrase missing. In the book's words, of the whole text, only this phrase was absent. Like, is this how the custodians of a true miracle behave? The journalist Dimitri realized the answer to his question wasn't on a website. It was in Jerusalem, with the one man who prepares the tomb with his own hands. Now coming up, that man talks. On camera, I've got the clip. Every ceremony has a man behind the curtain. Here, his title in English is the sacristan, the guardian of the sacred vessels, the man who prepares the tomb on Holy Saturday. If any man on earth knows how the fire starts, it is the sacristan. Okay, in November 2018, on the journalist's 3rd trip to Jerusalem, the sacristan, Archbishop Isidorus, sat down with him on camera. And before anyone cries ambush, it wasn't ambushed. 9 days earlier, the sacristan was emailing the journalist photographs for the book. The court quotes.
Well, somebody said, Father, you said something?
Yeah, this is the video. Have you watched it?
Which one? This one?
The 28 video that he's playing.
I haven't watched the whole thing, but it was referenced in Cleve's video last year. And that's my point. That basically the entire reason that he's kind of rehashing this is because supposedly, I guess the Greek court in February of this year said that the contents of the book were accurate.
No, I mean the interview itself. That's what I was like. Oh, put a fork in me. I'm done. They're lighting it. You know, and I had earlier indications that this was the case, but this confirms it for me. I totally think they light it.
Okay. I mean, the point I'm trying to make is I believe there's still a holy fire happening, but it may not be coming from inside the tomb. So
there,
from
Father.
my perspective,
I
it doesn't. Well,
you can't stop God from, you know, doing his miracles wherever he wants to, whenever he wants to.
right. So now I just
agree.
think it's occurring in the sepulcher, but not necessarily in the tomb. and that's been my
I
argument.
think it's happening in a lot of places. You know.
Yeah, and now that we're finding out like things like the Holy Fire lighting up at like Cobbleskull, I mean, and you mentioned the Holy Fire
if
lighting up
that's
at other
true.
churches too. It could be that it's finally gotten to the point where the Patriarchate of Jerusalem now at this point is beyond redemption. So the Holy Fire is appearing in different places. And it doesn't help that almost all the Christians have been evacuated from the Holy Land. I mean, it could be a horrible reality that many of the relics of the Holy Land end up being moved out, so that more settlers can take the land, and basically the Holy Land gets reduced to a few plaques on the streets. I mean, that's a horrific vision I'm talking about here, but it's not inconceivable as to how things are going.
It's interesting in the video how the guy, the keeper of the Holy Sepulchre, the clergyman, he says that basically it seems that he's saying that the Jerusalem Patriarchate would love, a lot of their clergy would just love to come out, but I guess the Greeks mainly would
welcome Reader John,
kill them, maybe physically.
God bless you.
It's interesting because he puts it at the door of these poor clergymen, they're facing death, like martyrdom or something, for telling the truth. Because the other thing is the Palestinians, this is their miracle, and the Muslims, it's fake, and so they makes double down and go, no, this is our religion's true because this is true, but that's never the rule of why orthodoxy is true.
Yeah. Let me see here. Crown says, I was more interested in this conversation with Barnold. I wish Barnold would have waited more. Well, it wasn't just Barnold. Reckon Keista says, if 2/3 of people will be gone, do you believe it will be by our own doing instead of God? Well, I don't think it's, I don't know how it's going to happen, but I do know it'll probably happen. Sunrise says, only if papists spent this much time investigating the delusion of people they call saints like Francis of Assisi. LOL. Unfortunately, that is the awful truth of it when you're dealing with professional apologists, etc. It's called scrutiny for thee, but not for me.
Oh yeah, that would be a great conversation, Francis of Assisi.
Yeah. Arnold says Orthodox faith doesn't stand or fall in the Holy Fire. No, it doesn't, but I still believe that it is real in some sense, even if it's not real when the Patriarch is doing it, that it is really happening in a lot of places. And possibly, things aren't looking good over there, so I have no idea. How this works out. Greatest miracle happens during every divine liturgy, the Eucharist. That is true.
I think it can work apart.
Well, we have a saint, don't we have a martyr that when the Holy Fire came out, the Menaf saints were letting them in or something like that, and then the Holy Fire came out to the Patriarch and lit his candle, and then the Muslim
came through the pillar, and there's a mark on the pillar from it.
And didn't the Muslim leader convert or something like that, get martyred on the spot or near after, and then he's on the calendar or something? I'm just going on memory. It's something. I could be conflating two different stories, but I'm not sure I am. Do you know what I'm talking about? There's a saint on the calendar that was martyred due to the Holy Fire miracle that converted from Islam.
You could say that Rome is really angry because they can't light the fire. Only the Orthodox can.
They have been for ages. Yeah. Brahmagata says they will build the third temple and stop all talks of preaching about Christ, and it will be crime again and soon put Noahide laws in every continent. Maybe. That's their plan. They have the Temple Institute. They really want to do it. There's still the mosque there. So there's a non-zero possibility that they could just be overrun by Islam, because it is, as they've noted many times, it is their 8th decade. Whether we interpret that to mean in 2 years or the next spanning 13 years, there's a good possibility that Israel wipes itself off the map, in which case the whole thing becomes something else. We just don't know.
What if Islam converted to Judaism?
That's one of the things that they say is possible, that the Antichrist will basically play the role of both a mediator for Jews and Muslims. It is possible. Let me see here, but in order to build the temple, you have to destroy the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and that will cause massive war also.
That's my drift, is that if they converted, they could blend the two together. There wouldn't have to be such a cataclysm. They would just move right over into Judaism per se. in certain respects, they're both similar because their focus is on earth. They both are earthbound. They have no vision of heaven at all. So they're really brothers in that respect.
All right, let me just say right there, God forbid, because what that sounds like is facilitating the Antichrist, and I don't feel like facilitating the Antichrist. I don't want. I want him to stay. He's already got too much junk here ready to go. I'm like, let's not come up with creative solutions to make it easier.
Well, if it makes you feel better, the Islamist Dawagandists and the entire Muslim world is pretty anti-Judaic right now. So that would be quite a turn of events.
Quite a move.
Well, yeah.
It's funny how when I was delivering mail on my route in one city in Florida, I had some Muslim guys who owned shops, clothing shops, and one of them told me, yeah, all the imams, they're in cahoots with the New World Order.
Well,
I believe it. It wouldn't surprise me.
So I don't know.
Recognize that Henry Kissinger said Israel will cease. That's interesting. Servant of God says even if they build the temple, it doesn't mean the Antichrist will be enthroned right away. And Barnold says, yeah, because we were watching the video and Father Joseph was critiquing it. All right. Speaking of which, let's get back to it. We're just over halfway through, so this is good.
His email on November 17, 2018. May I put them in the book, which, as you know, I'm preparing about the Holy Fire, logically next to your testimony. So, as you know, next to your testimony. So he knew exactly what this was about. First, let's talk about the mechanics. Okay, the sacristan explains that before the patriarch ever enters, 2 oil lamps are brought into the tomb. 2. Why 2? Well, let's watch his interview. The interview is in Greek, but you can read the English captions on the screen.
Και προφανώς να υποθέσουμε ότι υπήρχε και μπαίνει και ανάβει πόσο ασφαλιστική πηξίδα. Αυτό το πιο πολύ σαν εκλογές που γίνουν στην Ελλάδα. Οι φυλάκες είναι το προνόμιο που είναι οι γεραιότερες που φυλάκες. Θεωρούν οι ίδιοι προνόμιο να βάζουν το καντήλι. Αλλά το καντήλι που ανάβεται. Και σαν το κύλιδα.
He says there's a fail-safe in this video. Now sit with that for a second, because why does a miracle need a fail-safe? And in passing, the sacristan settles claim 2 for us for good. Watch him describe the ceremony's own historic candle. What he says here is that the holy fire melted the cross on its own ceremonial candle. So it does burn. Even they know that it burns. And then comes the key exchange. Just watch carefully what he says here.
Δεν θέλω να πω λεπτομέρειες. Θέλω να σας ρωτήσω εγώ. Μπαίνετε μέσα. Το ανάβετε ανά τον Αγιο Τάφο και φεύγετε για να το βρει αναμένο ο Πατριάρχης. Είναι έτσι ή όχι? Είναι έτσι. Είναι έτσι.
He says, so it is. The sacristan of the Holy Sepulchre, the man who prepares the tomb, just said on camera that he lights the fire before the patriarch enters and leaves it there to be found. And in case there's any doubt about what he means here, watch this.
Για το πώς ανάβει. Αυτό αφαιρέθηκε η φράση. Πώς ανάβει για καντήλια και πώς αγιάζεται. Σωστό. Το πώς αγιάζεται, αφού κατεβαίνει τη χάρη, είναι θαύμα. Πολύ ωραία. Σύμφωνο. Το πώς ανάβει όμως δεν είναι θαύμα.
Now, to be fair, the sacristan draws a distinction. The lighting, he says, is natural, his own hand, before the ceremony. The sanctification, the fire becoming holy through the patriarch's prayer, that he believes is God's work, the way bread and wine become body and blood in the liturgy. He is not a cynic, okay? But watch how uncomfortable he is and how he answers anyway.
Σας επηρεάζει αυτό ότι δεν αρνείστε να πείτε ψέματα. Σαν μια πως ιερέας. Σαν ιερέας, πρέπει να ψάξουμε το θρησκευτικό κομμάτι. Όπως στη λειτουργία, δεν ξέρω κάτι άλλο που μόνο στο το βάζουμε χρυσή και μετρέπεται σε βάζουμε τον άλλο και μετρέπεται σε σωματίδες και αλλιώς στο χέρι.
As a priest, I cannot lie. I cannot go out into public and lie about what is happening. Now, remember those words, because the question now becomes, what did the institution above him do with this truth? Did they apologize? Did they correct the record? Did they open an investigation? No. They sued. The book, Redemption on the Holy Fire, hit Greek bookstores in March 2019. The Patriarchate and its archbishops took the journalists to court for defamation and more. The sacristan...
Okay, well, first off, I Karan and Barnold about this back and forth. I'm gonna just skip that. Ramagat says it will come down to no money and no food resources. Many will convert to anything to try to save the earthly bodies, like in the past it happened. Also true. Reconquista with a super chat, $4.99 says, Father Chad, if China goes to Serbia, will and become Orthodox, will the conflict in India force China into India and stop the poop festivals?
What?
The poop festivals.
Taking a dip in the Ganges.
Yeah, I guess that's what that would be. I have no idea about India, but it's a funny question.
China, Sunrise with a member chat says China stopping the poop festivals would increase their social credit score.
Hey, I have a question. Could the sacristan just not wait for the candle to light, just go ahead and go over and light it himself?
It seems that that's what they're saying is that that's what he does, is that he lights it by himself and then leaves it there for the patriarch just in case it doesn't light up or something, which is, I mean, kind of crazy. Wow. But
He just takes it into his own hands to go light it so that no miracle can take place.
Well, they're trying to argue, and this sounds ridiculous, that they're trying to argue that the patriarch blesses the light and it changes. I don't buy that. That sounds like a recent made-up term. But thanks to Reconquista, we are now at $450. Our goal was reached past 50. So I'm really grateful to everyone who donated. Thank you so much. And let's continue.
I remember when you remember we were in World Orthodoxy for less than a year, could hardly stomach being there after realizing we'd made a mistake converting from Roman Catholicism.
Many such cases.
I remember there was a lady, though, in World Orthodoxy that knew about the true Orthodox arguments and stuff, and actually I could identify the family, but I don't want to dox them, but they have monastics in a true Orthodox monastery even right now, the family. But anyway, this lady, the mother, is not, as far as I know, even to this day, not in a true Orthodox parish. And it was interesting what she said to me. She said she had made a decision, to go to the World Orthodox. And one of the things she said, in spite of all of my arguments, because I was headed toward true Orthodoxy, she says, I want to be in the church where the holy fire happens. So that's kind of stuck with me in my ears. It's interesting. I want to be, I want to be in union with World Orthodoxy because that's where the holy fire happens. Well, I mean, maybe, I don't know if she's probably not listening to this, and I don't plan to mention her name, but if she does, listen to this guy. He's telling you they light it. And
well, again,
true Orthodox have received the holy fire.
Holy fire is not a reason to be Orthodox of any kind.
Yeah,
I know that, and I don't know who remembers Father Elia Yanovkian. God rest his soul, eternal memory. But he was very active on the internet. He's even mentioned, in some of the letters of Father Seraphim Rose as Elias Armistead. But the point is that he was thoroughly convinced that the Patriarchate, somebody was bringing in matches. And so for me, the story has changed a few times. I have found that the Holy Fire seems to have helped people in faith and continues to do so, including true Orthodox. I'm not willing to just say that it's fake, because even what's happening in the tomb could be fake. I'm not, and it certainly sounds like it is.
Yeah,
but
that's the point of the miracle, though, Father. It's not to instill faith; it's to strengthen your faith.
Exactly,
we don't go look. Yeah, we don't.
And if you don't have faith to begin with, it's a wicked, it's a perverse generation that seeks after a sign.
Yeah.
And no sign will be given this generation, the Lord says, except the sign of the prophet Jonah.
Well, I don't think, but this has been around for hundreds of years. I mean, so once again, I'm really of the school that, of course, with the apotheosis of ecumenism, etc., that it might have stopped working, but we're seeing other manifestations of the holy fire appear. To me, that tells me more that maybe perhaps the one at the sepulcher is corrupted, but it is still manifesting in other areas, and it's still manifesting in other places.
Well, I think you and I agree about that. I think we're in agreement.
But I mean, the point I'm trying to make is, do I think that what the Patriarch is doing and what these guys in the interview are doing is pious fraud? Absolutely. But I wouldn't say the holy fire is a pious fraud, because that wouldn't be honest, if that makes sense.
One doesn't follow the other.
As a blanket statement. No, I mean, how could you? How could you?
Let me see. Looking in the comments, I am skipping the poop comments.
Thank you.
Let me see here. Who knows about this video? Who is paid and from whom? I don't trust them talking. If you're talking about those interviews, that is from the author of that book that's on the corner there in Greek. If you're talking about who pays Cameron Bertucci, he's got pretty big channels on YouTube and I think some sponsorships. And now he's Roman Catholic, so he's got even more viewers. Yeah, a fake miracle like that would have leaked over 1,000 years ago, servant of God. Yep, very true. This is a new phenomenon because of ecumenism, probably. But we're seeing massive, amazing things happen, though. Go ahead, Reader John.
Let's talk about more interesting things like Fatima.
Yeah, he doesn't want to. I don't want to talk about Fatima. Gulo Humu says, "Bro, not all of India does poop festivals. Only a specific cultural area. Okay, they poop in the street. Gulo. Okay, I'm not no poop comments.
You guys got some poop accession down there.
What do you mean? What do you mean, servant of God? A servant of God is it's a servant of God. It's people when they commune, they're servants and handmaidens of God.
Yeah.
Let me see here. I'm gonna skip that. Sunrise says if we get $500, we get another hour. No, but I mean
for $500, Father, come on.
Well, wait, the key is that we're already at $450.
Yeah, but you could be at $950.
Oh, you mean make $500 more dollars? No, I don't think that's even. That would be some weird, crazy world record. You know what? I'll make a deal here. If we get to $600, I'll stay till 12. We'll stay till 12. Okay. And we're definitely, no matter what, going to finish this video. So let's.
You heard that, guys, right? 600, all the way to midnight.
All right. So let's just get through the video. We're almost done. So let's see.
Separately tried to force the confession video off of YouTube, claiming that it was recorded without his consent. Here's how that went. 2022, the Court of First Instance of Athens rules the video was made with his consent. And then in March of 2024, the journalist is acquitted in the criminal proceedings of everything. And then comes the ending almost nobody outside of Greece has ever read or heard of, the ruling that I've been talking about this entire time. One archbishop had pressed on, the second in command, Aristarchus. His claim was civil, not criminal, meaning he was asking for money damages on the grounds that the book had injured his honor and reputation. But now here's why that matters, and I want you to catch this, okay? To decide whether the book injured his honor, the judge first had to decide whether the book told the truth, which means she had to weigh all of the testimony, the recordings, the emails, the sworn statements, the book itself, and rule on what actually happened. Think about what this is. Okay, for the first time in the ceremony's 1,000-year history, a neutral referee examined the evidence about how the fire starts. Not a church committee, not a comment section, not an Orthodox YouTuber, a judge under rules of evidence with both sides fighting it out. And in February of this year, 2026, she issued her decision, number 2611 of 2026. Quick transparency note, so this ruling is in Greek. I don't read Greek. The translations you're about to see were produced using the help of AI. And the complete original document, I've linked it below so that anyone can fact check me. Any Greek speaker can verify everything that I'm saying. After nearly 7 years of litigation, that's a pretty long time, the court rejected the archbishop's claim. And not on a technicality, it wasn't a dismissal over paperwork, but it was on the merits. The judge examined the substance in a fully contested proceeding and ruled. Here's the 3 key findings. Finding 1, the judge framed the central question exactly the way that we have in this video. Is the fire lit by divine intervention or by human intervention? Here's her answer. Whether the holy fire is lit by divine or by human intervention, it is proven from the evidence submitted that the latter is the case. Proven. Her own word, by human intervention. Finding 2, she didn't stop at human. She specified how. It lights in the same way it lights in every church, that is, with a lighter or matches. The most famous miracle in the Christian world, apparently, in a court's considered finding is this. It's the same flame as the candlestand at your local parish. And finding 3 is just wild. Okay, remember, Aristarchus is the plaintiff here. This is his lawsuit. These are his legal filings, written by his lawyers, saying whatever he wants them to say. And the judge noticed something about them. At no point categorically denies this fact. Okay, so follow the logic here with me. If the fire really descended from heaven, this lawsuit was the archbishop's golden opportunity to say so under oath in writing with money and honor on the line and pretty much everything to gain. All he had to do was deny it. State plainly, the fire is not lit by human hands. But in nearly 7 years of litigation, he never did. The second highest official of the Patriarchate of Jerusalem sued a journalist over the claim that the fire is humanly lit and never once denied that the fire is humanly lit. So you might ask, how did the judge reach her findings? Okay, well, sworn testimony, affidavits. Now, if you're not a lawyer like Alex Soren, an affidavit is testimony given under oath before a state official. And in our case, before the Greek consul general in Jerusalem. Lying in one of these is a crime, okay? These men were no longer chatting with journalists, they were swearing to the state. And the judge expressly found their testimony fully credible for a simple reason that she spells out. They had nothing to gain from the outcome. The former sacristan, who served the Patriarchate of Jerusalem for over 50 years and held the sacristan's office in the 1980s, swore that the sacristan lights the sleepless lamp himself and leaves it burning for the patriarch to find. That is, he himself lights the sleepless lamp with a lighter or matches and leaves it burning for the patriarch to find. Notice, with a lighter or matches, that was his phrase, under oath, years before the judge adopted it. And then he added this, read it with me. This is the truth, which all the hierarchs of the Patriarchate of Jerusalem know well, especially the sacristan himself. But it is carefully hidden from the faithful for understandable reasons. Scandal. All the hierarchs know There's your darkest secret in their words, not mine. Another archbishop, a Durham-trained scholar, swore this. It is neither a miracle nor a mystery. This is why no father of the church dealt with it, nor any ecumenical council. It is a ceremony, as I told the pilgrims. Catch what he just did. Okay, for 2,000 years of church history, no church father defends this miracle. No council ever defined it. The men inside have always known what it actually is, an ordinary ceremony. Even the second in command's own words entered the record. In conversations and statements, the court ruled the book reported accurately. Years earlier, in a documentary on Greece's mega channel, he had personally debunked the most famous safeguard of all, smiling as he said it. They don't search the patriarch. The patriarch removes his regular vestments and remains in the white garment, the white chiton symbolizing the angel. On that first phone call, asked whether the lamp enters the tomb lit or unlit, he fell silent, so long that the journalist thought the line had dropped. Then he answered quietly, the first. So in other words, lit. When he later learned the lamp is actually lit with a lighter over the tomb himself, his objection was not that it's false, it was grief. All of this with a lighter over the tomb insults us. It shows irreverence. And on the phone in April 2018, I cannot carry the weight. Now it is late. And when the judge came to the book's harshest language, explaining why its sharpest words were lawful, listen to how she described what those words were aimed at. I'll leave it on your screen. The unacceptable phenomenon of the deception of the faithful by the Patriarchate of Jerusalem, a court in Greece, a country whose own constitution names Orthodoxy the prevailing religion. She ordered the archbishop to pay costs. Now, step back with me because I don't think people appreciate how insane it is that we have this evidence, that this evidence exists. For claim one, how the fire starts. Here's what we now possess. The man who lights it on camera telling you that he lights it. His predecessor, under oath, saying the same. And every hierarch knows this. The Patriarchate's second in command, given 7 years and every legal incentive to deny it, never denied it. The institution itself quietly deleting the word miracle from its own website with the Patriarch's personal approval. In a neutral court, after weighing all of it, finding proven that the fire is lit by human hands with a lighter or with matches. Claim one isn't merely doubtful, on the record confessed by its own custodians and adjudicated by a court of law. It is false. I've studied miracle claims for years. Like I do this for a living.
Okay.
Yeah, dude. So I agree with you, and I'm still Orthodox. So what?
See,
now?
I'm not. Okay, go ahead.
My observation is that these sacristans could go ahead and light it themselves, and let's say with intent to not wait for the Holy Spirit to light it, they're going to take it into their own hands in order to debunk the work of the Holy Spirit. So that would fly in the court of law that a sacristan is lighting the candle. On the other hand, religiously speaking, they're not waiting, and this is just a case, I'm just saying, they're not waiting for the Holy Spirit to light it. They're taking it into their own hands in a fraudulent manner to quench the Spirit of God from doing his work. So I would like to see that argument.
Maybe the Holy Spirit won't light it for them.
That's my point. That I remember it was Patrick Benedict, I believe it was, of Jerusalem. There was that 1 year where he was engaged in some ecumenical dialogue, and then the Holy Fire just didn't light, and it embarrassed everyone because it just didn't show up. Mm-hmm. So I think this kind of feels like they've created a sort of insurance. And now, unfortunately, it's being exposed, but it still doesn't stop the miraculous nature of things happening with other.
Exactly.
So that's it. Yeah. It's more sad. I think, and so this is part of the problem is that I think that Cameron is probably presenting this correctly. He's presenting it in a very polemical way to imply that the entire miracle and to imply that no father or no one. No church authority ever spoke about it is false. There are actually books on the Holy Fire written that talk about various authorities who did comment on it. So the idea that it's all debunked and it was all a lie and set up, I think it's overboard. It's going to the other extreme. And this whole, I research miracles for a living. Yeah.
Well, why is it Catholic?
I question your. I question your objectivity there, buddy. Barnold says, okay, the video is doing a good job making it look like a fraud. My personal opinion. Servant of God says, my personal opinion. Yes, many people have reported too. Something has changed. Someone who was going for decades said so. Like it gets less and less grace every year. Or the grace is getting, as Father Boniface pointed out, smothered more and more every year by these fraudulent practices.
Why is this? Sorry. Why is this guy Roman Catholic? He researches miracles.
He was a.
Thank you. Father Chow got it.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is great.
He was Protestant, so I guess he went for like the biggest knowledge miracles, and so the whole point.
I mean, he likes. He likes wax and silicone.
Fatima is like basically like super. What's the word we're looking for? It's super promoted, despite the fact that it's.
What about
You know,
Guadalupe? Is the temperature of
yeah.
the Tilma 98 degrees constantly? And can you see the face of Juan Diego in the eyes? And can you see a constellation? I mean, come on.
Yeah,
What
it gets weird.
Why doesn't he investigate all the papal hanky-panky with murdering people in the Vatican, child molestation, and stuff like that? Somehow, his case loses its integrity across the board.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's interesting. It's interesting the things that make the rounds for the Roman Catholics, and people will like it and say, "Oh, you know, praise the Lord" or "Ave Maria" or whatever. And yeah, you know, you'll just see these things like some so-called incorruptible saint, and it's got a wax mask. I saw one thing circulating, and it was literally a wax effigy, and they were like, "Oh, look at this incorrupt body," and like it was just, it's crazy, you know. By the way, Padre Pio has a wax mask. Rita, St. John Vianney. I mean, I could just
Bernadette.
Over at Bernadette. Oh, Bernadette's the most famous one. People, people. Oh, look how beautifully preserved she is. It's like, and then
it's a wax mask.
And and the official Roman Catholic, you know,
a silicone pillar.
They're like, yes, French nuns created this intricate wax mask. They admit to it, but then all of this stuff still circulates as though it's a miracle. And what's horrible about it is they let it happen.
Yeah,
they let people believe all this stuff.
So you got a Protestant convert commenting on this stuff who's blinded, and they're sucker now until he finds out maybe a little bit later he's blind to their corruption in the papacy and the whole history of that, and now he's promoting their cause and then condemning everyone else outside of their cause as actually doing the same things that they do.
I would love to talk to him about Fatima.
I'd love to talk to him about another Holy Land miracle, which is the
somebody in the comments wanted me to comment on the foreskin ring. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that.
Do you know what? That's Catherine of Siena, who claims that the Jesus Christ gave her like a ring, like a wedding ring or something, that was of his holy circumcision. I mean, this just gets.
Is that the one? Is that the same Catherine who yelled at a pope?
That's the same. That's the same Catherine that called the Pope Daddy. Called him.
What?
Yeah, she called the Pope Daddy, and she. The other thing is, Sweet Daddy or something in Italian.
Oh no.
But the other thing is, she said that it was revealed to her by God or some Virgin Mary, somebody, that in a vision that Mary was not conceived without
immaculately.
She was not immaculately conceived. Interesting, eh?
Yeah.
It's interesting to receive a foreskin ring when the circumcision is dead. What good is it? There's no life to it. So what kind of virtue does that had whatsoever?
I mean, who was the only one circumcising at that point? I'm just saying.
Reconquista. Did I add this to the total? I feel like I did, but no, I didn't. Okay, so Reconquista with, by the way, with another $5. So we are now at $4.55. So allow me to update that.
Come on, guys, $145 more dollars.
But anyway, so I do want to add that, and basically, he has a comment or a question. Well, more of a comment, and he says, "Father, in Bolivia, every big building they do a human sacrifice and bury them under the building. The Bolivians know of this, but don't say much." Yeah, I feel I'm gonna have to research that one. That's a little weird.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised either.
I mean, but the question becomes like, did this happen when the buildings were first built? Are they doing this every year? You know, there's a lot that has to be answered there.
Well, I mean, there are SRA victims that talk about what goes on in underground tunnels under the Vatican too. Sacrifices.
Yeah, and then Matthew Metanoia asks, "Is this Catholic Jay Dyer? I'm pretty sure he's way bigger than Jay Dyer. Give me 1 second."
Wow.
because
No, I think Jay Dyer's pretty Catholic. I don't know.
Yeah, Capturing Christianity has 417,000 subscribers. He has about 3 times as many followers as Jay Dyer. He's a bigger dog. Let's see if we put this through, put it back there, and let's see. Sunrise says DTC when are you making stroganoff cooking video? And Servant of God says in Orthodox countries there are plenty of clockwork miracles. That's true, and that's why I said I'd love to ask him about the turning of the Jordan. Like how does that happen on theophany? Like the river changes direction. So how's that work? Like and then I'm just picturing that some like Greek priest is like, we've put turbines under the Jordan.
That's only for the new calendar.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's for the new calendar. That's for sure. Let me see. Did not light the 1 year? Yeah, it didn't light that 1 year under Patriarch Benedict. And so what I'm saying is maybe they created this as an insurance policy in case it doesn't light again. And with
it's like the Lord is telling us about ecumenism.
Yeah, and then they just want to cover for it. But ultimately, I guess it was when George Tenet's cousin became the Patriarch of Jerusalem that something had to be done to make it clean.
Awkward.
Let's see. Gabriel Michael says, I'd like to see an occasion where the Holy Light does not appear. That has happened. And so I feel like this is maybe an insurance policy to keep people that from happening again. But it's actually
so maybe it hasn't. But they're trying to cover it.
That's a typical Roman tactic. Now you know why they want to be ecumenical.
It's the wax masks. Again.
They're learning
they're learning trade secrets from the other camp. That's what they're doing.
So that must.
They say, "How do you do that? How do you keep the money flowing? I want to know."
This is not new stuff.
This is getting dark. This is such a dark conversation.
I mean, Francis and Bartholomew.
Well, get a lighter.
Yeah.
Man!
Oh my goodness!
This is so dark.
Yeah.
All right,
I better stay away from the conspiracies. Maybe when I'm on air,
I just wanted to get away from the poop festivals.
Off topic.
Don't light anything near that.
Okay, Brahmagata asks off-topic question. The one lady frontima, I'm assuming we're talking about Dr. Jeannie, said that if a girl has a blessing from a bishop and priest, she can go in the altar. Is that true? It shouldn't be, but in many dioceses, in World Orthodoxy, it is. It's in talk. She did in Australia in a whole series on YouTube. It's new. Oh, that's depressing. But yeah, it does happen. There was a recent pic of, I guess, in the U.S. What's her name? Who's the nun with the coffee?
The one who joined the
UOC. OCU. Yeah. Oh, Sister Vasa. Yeah, she had a picture on Twitter recently. She was doing the sermon, and they had altar girls with the altar boys serving with the priest.
You mean Varvar?
Yeah, Varvar. Okay.
Barbie.
That's definitely not a Barbie. That's definitely not a Barbie. That's definitely not a Barbie. Okay, so yeah, that's unfortunate, but yeah, that's true. Barnold says, please play the video. That's book on subject, Holy Fire by Harris, Sclerokitis. I disagree. I think the best book on Holy Fire is Holy Fire by Bishop Maxentius of Fotiki. Really good and does deal with the history. Who lit the holy fire when it shot out of the pillar and lighted the candles of the faithful? No, that was the real holy fire. No offense to Father Chad, but he gets long-winded. No offense, Father. That was Servant of God, by the way, not me.
I think they want your videos. I think I was.
Everyone wants
I was
the
keeping
video
them from
Let's
your
finish
video.
it. Let's finish the video. We got 3 minutes left.
Oh no!
Living. I have never seen anything like this. It's embarrassing.
Yes, you have.
So let's just state it plainly. Okay, the holy fire is a known fake, not questionable, not unverified, known by the men who run it, who have now told us so on camera and under oath. And 2 things that make this scandalous rather than merely sad. First, it's deliberately hidden. Okay, the faithful are told one thing, while the hierarchy knows something else, carefully hidden in the former sacristan's own words. Second, and this is what makes it so bad, okay, this happens at the tomb of our Lord. Someone uses a light or matches, flicked over the holiest place on earth, sold to the world as fire from heaven, and they know that it's false. Even the second in command couldn't stomach that. He said it shows irreverence. and it's still being sold to you. Remember the interview from the top of this video, the sincere priest, the apologist platforming him, Alex Soren, Orthodox apologist, tens of thousands of views, a comment section full of believers, hearts from the channel and the miracle testimonies. Look, that priest in Alex's video is not lying. I don't think he's lying. Everything he described is real choreography, now explained under oath by the men who actually run it. So he's not the one who's deceiving. He's the deceived. And so is everyone in that comment section. I made this video because I deeply, deeply care about the truth. And because people deserve to know it before they build their faith
give
on
me
it.
a break.
But I won't
But
pretend
you're
the
Catholic.
implications here are small. Okay, if
Yeah,
miracles
if you really cared about the truth, bro, you wouldn't be trying to push Fatima. Give me a break.
stage every single year at the tomb of our Lord, protected by lawsuits and silence for generations, that is entirely discrediting for the institution. of it. And so
yuck.
apologetic that still points to it. Is that
Father, I
so
can't do it. I can't. That's
This
fake
guy's so
righteous
much-
indignation.
He's on 1 minute, 10 seconds.
I've linked a
can't
ton of
do
stuff
it.
in the description of this video. You can go take a look at the evidence
Can't
for
do it.
yourself. You can use any tools that you want. I just want you to look at it. I just want you to look at the evidence squarely and see where it points, because I think it is genuinely really bad. And one last time, so no one mistakes what I'm saying here, I am not against miracles. Okay, I spent years defending them on this channel, and defending them taught me something really important. Real miracles welcome investigation. They can withstand scrutiny. Lords, for example,
Oh,
like medical
man.
bureaus, doctors.
Oh,
really?
Their entire job is to throw claimed cures out. The church that believes in miracles actually tests
Oh,
them.
The
hard.
worst part of this is it's such a great speech, but he's so lying.
It's like
Precisely
fake
because of
righteous
A
indignation.
miracle
It's
that needs a
disgusting.
Yeah,
safe room, a
exactly.
sealed room, and lawsuits against its own witnesses is not a miracle. It's a scandal. Fortunately, there is an alternative. You don't have to build your faith on an institution that plays with fire and lies about it to the public. Build your faith on the institution that God is continually verifying with true colossal miracles.
Wow! What
Here's
an
what-
ending! What an
Here's what I
ending!
want. Here's
Don't
what I
make me.
I want somebody, please. I'm asking somebody, please clip this guy out, and wherever he says "holy fire," put Fatima. I would love those clips.
Exactly. Or
That would
Pachamama.
be comedy gold. That would be so awesome.
I agree. That would be fantastic.
What's that
we
other?
got
What's the other
Sunrise,
one?
Medjugorje.
Medjugorje?
What about don't even get started on Medjugorje, where the prophetess ends up getting pregnant by her security guard and stuff. And, oh my gosh. Oh yeah.
But he's investigated many miracles.
Yeah, many miracles. But he'd be the first to say that that one's not real. He'd be like, now, Medjugorje,
They
you
need to
can't
have-
trust them.
They need an investigation of all the parties they have in the Vatican.
Yeah, well, that's why
No.
Sunrise mentioned the Vatican Bank. And speaking of parties, the Vatican Bank has been involved in a lot of those.
Let's not talk about that.
Yeah, this could be a totally different type of show.
Yeah.
Oh, well, okay, that's true.
Yeah.
But Michael Hoffman does a great job of exposing, interestingly enough, the Vatican, even though he's.
I don't even
Roman
understand how.
Catholic.
I think it was Bishop Enoch who might have written him and asked, like, if you know all this stuff, why are you even Roman Catholic? And he just didn't respond.
Well, there might be a reason for that.
Substack.
I actually have an article on my Substack where I review his article critiquing Vatican I.
Oh yeah, I think I read that.
Yeah. So, does that sound like an article written by a Roman Catholic? I don't think so.
So you think he's something else now already? He's just not saying?
I think he has an internal struggle. He can speak for himself, but I don't think that I don't think he's having a good time holding to Vatican I.
I don't know. I mean, if I was in that position and living through Benedict, Francis, John Paul, what's the Yahoo now, Leo? I would have a crisis of faith.
I know Michael Hoffman personally. I bought my copy of the Occult Renaissance Church of Rome from him at his home.
Yeah.
At his home.
Yeah, I know him personally. In fact, I hope to interview him.
I'd love to hear that.
Yeah. So
I think they're afraid. They're afraid of the Italian mafia.
I don't even want to go there, Father Boniface. I know way too much.
I'll tell you what. When I left, let's say Rome, I left Rome because they didn't like my pro-life arrest record, and they did not like my evangelism. They thought I was not ecumenical and that I talked about hell. And so then I basically said bye-bye. So one day a priest stopped by my place, and I had put back my old Catholic collar on and went out to do evangelism in the streets of Lakeland, Florida. And he knocked on my door and said, hey, this is not good. And I said, Father, do you know that I applied to Orlando to be a priest? No. Do you know that I am an ordained priest in the old Catholic Church? No. Do you know that I tried to get a position at your school and that I was denied on the basis of my pro-life record? He said no. And then I said, salus animam suprema lex esto. I said, the supreme law of the church is the supreme
Salvation.
law of the church is the salvation of souls. And he just got up and walked out. Now, I want to tell you something, that they'll investigate you. And I remember going to an the St. Paul Street Evangelistic Society had a conference in Venice, Florida. And I went to it because I was the Lakeland chapter head of this Roman Catholic organization. I thought it was pretty good, get out on the streets and share the gospel and blah, blah, blah. So they sent a man to spy on me because they knew I was a hot potato. I know he was spying on me. He was watching me all the time. And so anybody who is vocal and starts opposing the Catholic Church, they're going to get investigated by their own internal police. And depending on how fearful they are, if they're ready to step out, what kind of consequences they're going to face, I would assume has them quite worried. So maybe that's some of the thinking behind them. But I just proceeded forward and said, bye. So anyway,
Sure was a
that's
guy
just
from
my
the State
experience.
Department.
What the state, who the priest?
You never know these days.
Well, and by the way, he was built like someone who could rumble. So, you know what I'm saying. So anyway, so that's what I faced in a minor degree. But some of these people in higher places with bigger visibility maybe would face. So maybe they're afraid. Maybe they're afraid.
Yeah.
But they need to come out.
Let's see. Going to the comments. Fatima sounds like a torta from Mexico. It could be. From Agata says, I'm talking about all of them being paid to discredit the Holy Fire, video people, book written, etc. The agenda of weary of discrediting the Holy Fire. Well, I mean, I wonder if this portends badly for the Holy Land itself. I mean, I feel like that if this sudden thing happens, I feel like
Christians are being pushed out.
Christians are already being pushed out. Maybe the fire is just leaving before they are. Yeah. I mean, I just have no idea. This is unprecedented, kind of historically. But I find that I think Cameron's position is just to score some points against the Orthodox. So I mean, it's not a good look.
Without looking at it as a backyard. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. To say that there's a religion that really withstands investigation,
He's
and
just
then
a
to point to
polemicist.
Fatima, like, shut up. Like,
Yeah, he's just a polemicist. Yeah, that's all he is.
Yeah, go read my Fatima series 1, 2, and 3. First.
Yeah, I definitely, if
highly
Cameron
recommend.
sees this, he can watch that. He should read that. It might be
highly recommend.
Be a little over his head though.
Oh, I'd love to debate that guy on Fatima.
Yeah,
Bring
which is
it
why that's why he'll talk about the Holy Fire and then not talk about anything else. Gulo says, Father, forgive us. Most of us are young and dumb and consume too much useless content. Sunrise says, don't do that, Barnold. LOL. Father Chad, can you write an idea about the papist pseudo-saint? You read that one. So ecumenism is making it fake, is what you're saying? Yeah, could very well be. We've answered this one. Okay, we answered this one. So many lies in this video, says Gulo. I'm skeptical of repetitive clockwork miracles, even if they occur only once a year. Okay, I mean that's a decision one can make. Barnold says mass migration is destruction and demonic. That to compromise says Judge was probably a Freemason, by the way. You're probably not wrong considering it's Greece. Matthew Metanoia says, although it's a woman, so it would be she'd be Eastern Star.
Well, yeah. Amy Comey Bryant went to the Freemasonic University of Tennessee as a Supreme Court justice. That was her undergrad.
Let me see here. It's not that serious, bro, says Matthew. In Orthodox countries, there are plenty of clockwork miracles. Servant of God says that's true. Romagato says, servant of God, thank you. Debt to Compromise says, clockwork miracles that happen on specific feasts. Let's see. DTZ, when you make
like unholy transfiguration.
There was the miracle of Saint Joseph of Arimathea in Glastonbury.
Well, there's the miracle of the Virgin Mary snakes, which apparently, like the new calendar, learned nothing from. Right. Because the Virgin Mary snakes actually show up the 2 weeks before the Dormition fast, and ironically, when they changed the calendar, now the snakes are there during the Dormition fast. So they can't do anything with that church because it's covered in snakes and doesn't leave until the beginning of the Dormition fast.
Oh, you're talking about the snakes?
What do you think about that snake one?
I think it's perfectly valid because they're trying to justify it by saying the snakes show up during their Dormition fast. But if the snakes make it impossible to even do a service, then maybe that's a warning that maybe they should be doing it on the right days. But they take it as, oh, this is definitely a validation of our calendar. We just can't use the church because it's covered in snakes. Like the lack of the brain rot there, because that was the Papist Dormition fast, and they don't see the connection that maybe you shouldn't do it on the wrong day.
You know, when
did that one start?
Well, they started really paying attention. I think it's been around a while, but they started only recording it this century as a proof of the new calendar being the right day. But it sounded like a backwards proof.
Is that the one that happens? Is that the one that happens on the island of Kefalonia?
Yeah.
It's interesting. I actually am a investigator of miracles, so I'm going to have to do a deep dive on that one someday.
Yeah, I would recommend
things on my plate right now.
I like the photos that have come out recently because they've gotten really good shots, and the snake actually has a cross, like it looks like a Byzantine cross on their heads.
That's pretty funny. What if it's warning them and they're just so stupid they can't see it? I have no idea.
Yeah.
Hey, my question would be compared to Ichabod with the book of Ezekiel when the spirit left the temple. So how could that relate to the holy fire now?
That's an interesting thought.
That's a good thought. Yeah. Well, not so.
And so then where would the Holy Spirit be going? In other words, he left the temple, but
left world orthodoxy.
Well, that's my point. Like if we're seeing the holy fire appearing in churches around the region and seeing them appearing in churches all over the world suddenly,
like true Orthodox churches, that would
like the Kovalskil Monastery. That happened this year apparently.
Yep.
I think that would be worthwhile documenting.
Yeah, I agree completely. Let me see here. I would like to see an occasion where the holy light dies not appear. There have been such in the past long ago. It could be coming. Servant of God says the year the Patriarch changed the calendar for a year, the holy fire didn't come. Okay. Thank you for that, Servant of God.
Here's the thing, though. Would they actually tell you if it didn't come? That's the thing.
No. Well, exactly. They take it into their own hands. They're covering it up. So, I mean, I don't know if is there a specific time where you know that the Holy Spirit's going to come and light that candle? Because if there is, and they know he's not there, suddenly, get that lighter.
Well, obviously they didn't know because it seems to be pretty much agreed upon that the reason that it happened with that patriarch was that he changed to the new calendar.
Well, you still have to explain that it doesn't burn people for some time.
Well, that Cameron brushes that away by simply saying, "Well, it's what happens when you move fire over something." That's not always necessarily true.
But I mean, as a person that's actually been there when it's happened, sometimes you're not just waving it or brushing it; you're holding it still with your hand over it. And
I want to say something about this Kovalskil holy fire thing I'm just hearing about tonight.
Okay,
this should be something that should not surprise us when these sort of things happen. I'll give you an example. When we were doing, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, we were doing the procession for the beginning of the liturgy for Pascha. and we started processing around the church in Arkansas, the birds. Remember, it's midnight. The birds come out and they start singing with the gusto. They're just chirp, 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 like making all of these noises, just rejoicing at the resurrection of Christ as we're going around the church with candles. It was absolutely phenomenal. And you go around the church 3 times, and these birds are just rejoicing with us. It was like, wow, this is an amazing thing going on right now. It was like they were trying to get close to us. It felt very close to us in the trees. So these sorts of manifestations of God's presence with us, these should encourage us, like we were saying before, but they shouldn't surprise us. This is our life, orthodoxy.
Okay.
That's awesome.
That's great. And Roma said also crickets do that. Yeah, that's true. Okay, I'm gonna just try to read as many of the comments as we can. And so let me see here. I'm gonna start here and I'm gonna just start putting them up. We didn't really cover the Vatican Bank, but we can always cover that in another video. Father Chad, what happens under the Vatican? Okay, people really want to know what. Reconquista says it's a gay disco under the Vatican. That stuff, right. Of course. Yeah, like grape. This stuff isn't hard to find. Where to find it, Sister Vasa?
Yep. Not
New
hard
Pope
to
from
find.
Chicago. Will you get mad if I put ketchup on a hot dog? I forget how Chicago dogs are made, but maybe. Probably hates Roman pizza versus Chicago deep dish. Chicago deep dish is like a pie. It has a specific name in Italy, ironically. It's not like a normal one. New York invented pizza. That's only half true. I wonder how many Catholic priests go to Comet Pizza. I don't want to know. So what was the non-Orthodox Cleve saying about the Holy Fire? Well, this was before, and he was already questioning it. Hold on, please.
Okay, so what did non-Orthodox Cleve say? I wonder why this guy is even a big deal. The guy just got baptized, right?
He's not even baptized.
What? Yeah. I mean, I'm just wondering, is somebody funding this guy? Because I bet there are plenty of guys that would love to have the notoriety that this guy has. Is the algorithm favoring this guy for some reason?
All the World Orthodox, when he decided he was going to be an inquirer, all the World Orthodox big names decided to jump on his stream.
Yeah, but I wonder why. I wonder if there's more here.
Because it's very simple. He got inspired by he got basically not sponsored, but basically he became like one of Jay Dyer's circle.
And Peter Hears, right? Peter Hears.
Father Peter Hears had his own. He had his own following that he developed.
They have their own disciples.
That was cool. Yeah, that was coincidental more than anything else.
Well, Jay Dyer himself seems to have been thrust into the limelight by some hidden hand.
Yeah, but it's not that hidden. Let's continue. Vatican. Hold on, I'm trying to get through all of these because I think that's fair to everyone.
Yeah, I think Dyer's a Fed. Yep, I think. So.
I think
private opinion.
I think he's practically he's a tanky for the Kremlin.
I was questioning it until the Tucker Carlson thing. And I was like, yep.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean that's.
Oh, I didn't even watch. I still haven't watched that.
I knew way before then. Yeah.
I watched it, and
you could have known. You could have known.
Made my stomach.
We got busy. Everyone, look at all these. This is crazy, folks. Snakes, yeah.
I don't see no donations in there though.
What in tarnation?
What in tarnation? No donation.
Does Ichabod have to do with this?
No, wrong Ichabod, buddy.
Father Chad, I had tried to get a hold of Cleave to Iniquity before.
I love that one, Cleave to Iniquity.
I tried to. I emailed him, and then he never got back to me. And so, maybe months or almost a year later, he says, "Oh yeah, they tried to get a hold of me, and I just sloughed it off," and that was me. So I did extend a hand graciously because he only lived an hour away from me in Florida at that time. I was down there in Lakeland. I knew where he was, basically,
Is
because
that
I
why
used
he
to
wears
travel there
Hawaiian
all the
shirts?
time.
It's hard for me to watch that guy because he's just so smug. You know who he
Yeah.
reminds me of? He reminds me of that guy, Professor Dave, that talks about against creationism and all this other
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
He kind of has the
Professor
same
Dave.
really smug look. I mean, it's just very difficult to watch him. I doubt he's going to be as famous or as
I have
effective.
a less charitable way to phrase that, but I'm not going to.
I mean, making him the world Orthodox Professor Dave, I think, is punishment enough.
That is pretty bad.
Well, it's like Jerry Springer said, people wonder where I get my guests. I wonder where I get my audiences. Well, maybe it's
Exactly.
the same thing.
Exactly. Thank you.
He's got an audience, and well, I scratch my head. Where are you
I
getting
kind
these
of doubt
people?
he's wondering where he gets his audience. I mean, he's got.
I think they're just. It's just it's again. Dyer tells people follow this guy and watch what he says. And I think that's really it with a lot of these people. I don't think.
I mean,
that
if you
a
look
lot
at,
of them have the natural talent to run things on their own.
I mean, if you look at his guests, like what is it, Father Stephen DeYoung and all them. I mean, come on. It's all pointing. It's all pointing towards the same cult of people.
Well, I will say that I like Ubi Petrus. I know
Ubi
that
Petrus he predates Dyer.
yeah, I know that he's not a Fed. I was his voice teacher, so I know for sure that he was.
I actually respect Ubi Petrus.
His voice teacher.
I taught him voice for a little bit.
What do you mean voice?
Well, I teach piano voice. I'm a music teacher.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I just know he's a real person. He's not.
No, I know. I know who he is. He announced it on the. That's why I was so confused when he said voice teacher, because he had that when he, I guess, announced himself to the world. He had this weird English affect, and he came from like Seattle.
Yeah,
and so
I'm from Seattle too.
You don't have a weird English affect.
He's the one that dated.
He acquired it.
I think he manufactured that because he didn't want people to
I
know who he was for a period of time.
Well, that's true, and I think that maybe that I guess that was the act, because at one point, Ubi would use the voice with a British affect, and I'm like, well, that can't be him because he's not British, and then
he was
said,
getting in touch with
more
his.
than one
But
person.
he's a nice guy.
He was getting in touch with. He was getting in touch with his inner Callistus wear.
Well, I don't really know everything he's doing right now, but he's done a lot of really valuable apologetic work, against the Roman Catholics.
Well, didn't he?
Has.
Didn't he have a debate with that guy with the deep voice? That's
Ibarra. Yeah, Eric Ibarra. Well, they
no, the other guy.
Oh, that other guy.
The guy who got cut up in a scandal.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, they were going with a real deep voice.
Eric Ibarra is a nice guy too. I remember when I had my Roman Catholic Apologetics website, he submitted something for me to publish. I don't think I ever published it, but anyway, he's a nice guy.
To Eric. I've talked to Eric a number of times. Sunrise with another donation says, "Can we get a sponsorship from Dr. Pepper?" I don't know.
Wish.
We would have a much better studio.
Only if we get a lifetime supply. I'm just saying.
You guys can have the lifestyle.
I'll take it for you, Father.
Cleveland World Orthodox for the grift. Yeah, that's true. And his announcement is no longer. But converting, I remember many people in his comments, previous process supporting him were upset with him. Yeah, and also he started lying about them.
Yep. It seems to be his modus operandi. Lying.
Yeah, unfortunately. So we're gonna.
Hey, is the main ingredient Dr. Pepper plums or prunes?
No idea.
I think it's
not sure, if I'm being honest.
I
wish they could get the sugar content a little different. That's a pretty good tasting drink, but I can't drink it because.
All right, adding that to the total, we reached 459 tonight. Thank you, Sunrise, for that last donation. Let me see here, and many dropped a lot of money on him, thinking he was always a prop, but he admitted that he was on the fence and never mentioned it. Wow, he took the money and ran.
Cold-blooded.
That's cold. That's cold. I think honestly, if you
but it tells you what he's all about. It tells you what he's all about. It's all about the money for him. He's a grifter.
That's sad. But in any case, I mean, I find it kind of just the whole thing's just laughable. It's sad but laughable at the same time. First off, thank you to everyone for helping me reach the goal here. I did not. I mean, I'm always grateful. Okay, that I think was earlier. Yep, I'm always grateful for that. And let me just quickly get this
A
here.
puppy that's going to be grateful.
What?
I know a doggy is going to be grateful.
Yeah, definitely. And so yeah, I'm going to thank you for that. So we reached our goal. We blew past it, so we're at 459. Our goal was 400 for the dog. So hopefully we can do some good things for the dog. And I just want to quickly say thank you to everyone, to our guests, to Father Boniface and Reader John, who are always here as support, to Father Chad, who's here and contributed a lot, to all our listeners, to those who had questions and had comments, and to those who support our mission. We are told you we're at 3,100 subscribers now. We are bigger than Avoca and Harvey's Lake in Pennsylvania. And every time we break a milestone, I'm going to point out how much bigger we get in terms, of cities, that we are larger than whole towns in Pennsylvania. And so
and you know what's happening? You know what's happening, Father?
What?
We're winning.
That's right. Oh, it's time. Hold on. That's right. We got to do the thing because we haven't done the thing.
We're winning. 3,100. Come on.
All right. So thank you so much. That's great that we did reach that. I'm so grateful to all of you, and so happy that our community continues to grow. Thank you to our listeners, to everyone who had questions and comments, and questions and comments, and more questions and comments, and to those who support our mission, support the channel. We at NFTU need your help. Support us by subscribing or donating at nftu.net or on GiveSendGo. We remember all of you in our prayers, and thank you for all the support for NFTU. And as always, if this has helped you, please like and subscribe. Through the prayers of Holy Fathers, Lord Jesus Christ, our God, have mercy on us and save us.
Amen.
Amen.
And ending stream.